We are live. Welcome to the Red Blue Pod bonus number 5, season 3. We are still waiting for Cole, but since Paulus may not have much time, we will get into it right now. How are you, Paulus?
I'm good, thank you. It's a beautiful morning in Singapore today. Good weather, so I feel good.
Good weather? How is
Yes,
it right now?
it's actually cold for once. Usually it's sweltering, dying heat, but today is pretty good.
I'm glad I don't live there, and I cannot support heat. Um,
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, Smallville season 9. Thank you very much
Yes.
for joining us. I'm always glad to have different guests, and I'm glad you came back and you liked it enough to come back. That's amazing. So what did you think of season 9?
Yeah. Firstly, thank you for having me back. It is fun just talking with you guys about stuff. Okay, Smallville season 9. I think I don't think I don't think I'm exaggerating, nor is this like a hot take, I believe, or at least with the viewers that I watched it with. Season 9 is probably the best season of the entire show. I don't know how you feel, but I believe it is. Especially coming straight from season 8. Um right with my viewers, I watched season 8 and immediately went on to season 9 right after I finished it. I don't know. I feel like there was a sudden hike in quality all of a sudden. Like all the stories were very um they went in very interesting directions. It was they they finally have a they were finally more focused on Clark and Lois this time. There was no Lana interrupting mid-season, interrupting their relationship. So that was fun. Just looking through the list here, every episode, I believe, like every episode has something fun about it. It is more memorable. I don't know, like Metallo. Like we can even go to like episode 2 Metallo. I think something about Metallo was such a step up from villains of the past. He felt very well acted. He was very um in a way like relatable. He had a backstory that was actually pretty that made sense. You know, we even have Zod. Zod is he has his faults. I did point that out. Maybe we can talk about Zod more in depth later, but I did point it out that he had flaws while I was watching it. But arguably he is still the best like overall season villain for like any of the seasons. I love Clark's ascension to becoming arguably he was more Superman in this than any of the other seasons. I would argue even season 10. So yeah, not to go too in depth right now, but I think season 9 really is the best of the show. I think it's not even close.
You see, I like your take a lot. And
Uh-huh.
for many years, season 9 was one of my top 3 season. Most likely like first or second. Sometime I'd swap this one with season 10. I
Ah.
thought season 10 was really solid. And if we just talk in terms of like episodes and stuff, I think season 10 is more consistent than season 9. Season 9, as much as I'm a big fan of it, there are like 3 episodes. My worst 3 that season are like really bad. And season 10, it's very funny because there's only 2 episodes. I'm like, these two are the weakest. And season 9, I'm
Mm.
like, there are 3 of them. And that's maybe the edge season 10 as over season 9. And the other thing is season 9, um, it still add a few filler here and there. Um, but that's the case of every Smallville season.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So it's not necessarily really a bad thing because the filler this season is still very good. And like among the three episodes I really disliked, like the ending of all of these three episodes is crucial to the story and it's really good key moments. And
Mm,
I think the idea of season 9 is really well done. I
mm.
enjoy season 9 a lot. And just like what you said, Zod was really cool. I really enjoyed Zod. Um, my biggest gripe with season 9 would be Tess Mercer character. And it's funny
Ah,
because
yes.
I really like her character arc. I'd like to really say this again. Season 8, 9, and 10, that's her crusade. She starts off as a villain, and now she becomes more of an anti-hero, and by the end, we could, at some extent, consider her a hero among the
Mm.
others by
Yeah,
season 10.
exactly.
So I'm a big fan of the outcome and her growth throughout the 3 season run she had. And she's really the reverse of Lex. Lex first started off as a good guy, and by the end, he turned like a bad guy. And Tess is like the reverse of it. So we cannot say, oh, Tess is just female Lex. No. She has a different character arc with a different outcome. And I really like it. But here's the thing, season 8 and season 9, Tess is not that great. Just pick one of these 2 seasons apart of the rest of the show, and you're like, what is this shitty character? I truly hate Tess. Like, she sees how bad this is, the world under the dominion of the Kryptonians. But yet she wants it because she feels like she will be fulfilled. It just doesn't add up. Why would she choose them over the humanity? How would she see this dominion as a way to save human race? It's just straight up stupid. Let's be honest, it doesn't make sense. But maybe I'm
Mhm.
crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. What are your thoughts on that Tess Mercer character? Starting with Polis, I guess.
Um. Okay. I like the point you made where she was basically reverse Lex. So she was a bad guy and then became a good guy by the end.
Wait,
Never
wait.
really thought
I'm
about
sorry
it
to
that way.
interrupt, but can you hear me?
Yeah, Cole, I
Yeah.
can hear you.
Okay, so this is. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt, and I was just okay. So I bought a headset a
Yeah,
while
sure.
ago, but for some reason the microphone feature for it was broken for ages. So I just used the laptop audio for the mic, and then just the sound with my headset. But all of a sudden now it has now just randomly worked again with the actual microphone and the headset just now. So
All right,
yeah, okay,
that's great.
my bad. But
And you
yeah, like
sound better than usual. I'm not saying usually you sound bad,
yeah,
but
I mean
you
my
sound better
lungs,
than usual.
yeah, better than my lungs hurt. And I was yeah, I hear like vibration when I'm breathing. So hopefully it's nothing serious, but I'm better right now. Yeah, yeah. Sorry for interrupting. I just because I was talking, but it wasn't
No,
working.
you're
But then
all
I was
good.
like,
You're all
but
good.
then I was yeah, I was like, wait, is my mic? Is it my microphone? Is it working again? Is that why? And then yep, okay. Anyway, continue.
Sounds great. Sounds great.
So yeah,
All right.
continue, Polis.
All right. Yeah, so Tess Mercer this season. So I when you pointed out that season 8, 9, and 10 was basically one long character arc for her, now it puts Tess. I never really thought about it too deeply. I just thought she sucked this season, but it now puts it into perspective that season 9 is the transition part of her arc from villain to hero. So this is
The
the
end
middle
part of the
portion.
season, because at first she's really like villain, but when she realized she's kind of wrong, she's like, oh, I
Mhm.
must change, and then she slowly changed. But yeah, keep going.
Mhm. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't really think much about her this season. Okay, to be fair, I don't really remember much about her. It's been a hot minute since I watched season 9. But yeah, the one moment that really made me baffled was the whole, like you mentioned, like her picking the Kryptonian side of the thing. Uh, even like I remember that, and even I was like, how is siding with the Kryptonians, like, okay, like her motivation was like, I want to like save humanity. Like she's trying to frame her motivations as like, I'm the hero that people like. Well, what's that line from Dark Knight? Is it the hero that we don't need right now but we deserve, or something like that?
Yeah,
She's
the
trying.
hero we deserve, not the hero we need.
Yeah. She's trying to frame it like she's like that, but then like when you think about it, it doesn't make sense. The Kryptonians do not care about us, so I don't know what siding with them is gonna do. I if I remember correctly, she didn't really have like a backup plan. She didn't have like, oh, okay, once the Kryptonians like, I don't know, like stabilize the world or whatever. I don't have like an arsenal of Kryptonian, like kryptonite weapons to stop them or whatever. So like, and and at any moment, like Zod can just snap your neck, like if you like step out of line. So I don't know what you were trying to achieve. So yeah, I thought she was really scatterbrained this season. Like one of my viewers pointed out, like he really felt like the writers didn't know what to do with her this season until season 10 came along, where they were like, oh, it's wrapping up. Okay, let's make her a hero now. You know, so this was like a
That
transition period.
that writer, or I should say that person in your audience, just didn't really understood character arc. And as I said, she is a reverse lex, and I think that part of characterization or character arc itself is really good, but it's really the execution and how stupid things are. Like, even in the future, when you see that she's still on Zod's side, by the end of that episode, when they are in the future, basically Zod snap her neck. And after seeing that, she's still willing to like help out the Kryptonians. And I'm like, bruh, they murdered you in
Yeah,
that future, and
exactly.
you still want to help them.
And she saw that, right? She eventually
Yeah,
saw that, right? Yeah.
yeah, and her arc there is selfish because she feels like if they succeed, she will succeed, and that's the point of her character arc in season 9. Like, it's success through any means and any person, and it's kind of wrong, and that's why she was still a villain. But then
Mm.
when she really sees Zod true colors, and when she tried to stop Zod by herself by the end of the season, and then she get burnt alive, this is like the start of a redemption arc because she's like, oh my, I was damn wrong, and she get burned for this. And this is why when someone is like, oh, they don't know what to, no, they had a plan, and that's probably the only thing they really mapped out and planned out in season 8, 9, and 10. I can tell that's the only character they really thought through. But here again, she's the flaw of season 9. She's a weak link. She is goddamn stupid. Um, yeah, another thing, season 9, I said it earlier, but that's the same thing for every season. There are a few like filler episodes here and there throughout the season, but that's a trend. When you got 20 plus episode a season, it's really hard to be consistent in the main core story. And that was the first time around CW truly had that kind of show on their under their control. After that, they got Arrow, and we covered Arrow on the podcast. But Arrow was really like the first thing CW really started, and they were able to do 23 episodes of like important stuff going on. Sometimes, yes, you had a few filler here and there, but the sole fact that every episode had flashbacks, you cannot really take them apart. But anyway, to get back to Smallville, it's just a well written show. So, what did you think of Tess Mercer, Cole?
I pretty much agree with you guys. I think Tess was my least favorite part of the season. But I mean, I told you in DMs this is one season. I don't have too much to say, unlike last week and the other weeks, along with Punisher this week. But not for a bad reason. No, I actually did really kind of like this season for the most part. I think this has some of the, how do you say, the most like well thought out ideas. I think, and I do think the show is consistently at least solid from start to finish with its episodes, even if there's things in each episode or in some of them that I'm not a huge fan of. So because of that, it doesn't have like really terrible episodes to me, unlike other seasons. I do think like overall it's one of the higher rated ones for me, but uh, I would, God, I would say though that I like the Zod stuff with Clark, but right I don't know if I'm in the minority, but I mean, did you guys like the other like villain introduced or in like the second half or no?
In the second half of season 9, which villain do you. Oh, Checkmate! Oh, Checkmate! I almost forgot. Checkmate. I will say this about Checkmate. The idea are good, but maybe not that great.
I
Well
just don't think it
executed.
fit the season or the show.
It
Same.
fits more season 10. I think it fits much more season 10.
Mhm. I
And
don't
I feel
remember
like
it, so I'll see.
I feel like they added these because they were worried that they wouldn't have time to have them in season 10. And like I remember very well season 10. I haven't rewatched it in at least a year and a half, but I still remember season 10 very well because I've seen the entire show many times.
Mhm.
And my guess is they really wanted Checkmate to play part in season 10, but then they kind of dropped the idea because they were not that well received with season 9.
Mhm.
And I will add this as well. I think Checkmate was needed in season 9 as well because the government needed like their own power against the alien because some of the
I
plot
just don't
threads.
think checkmate fit this. Like I agree, they kind of needed somebody like that. I just don't think you fit in this season. It's like the equivalent of like putting Dark Side in this fucking show. It's like
They actually put it in season 10.
I know,
Actually,
I know that
Apocalypse,
little.
not necessarily Darkseid. Actually, yeah, I think Darkseid was a small part of
I,
season 10.
I don't remember fully, but I know like in some way, yeah. That's why I bring it up because everybody was like at the time, Dark Side like didn't really fit like a show of this size like Smallville where it felt out of place, and I don't remember if they like a different one who was like smaller scale or whatnot to balance it out, but either way I'm just using that as an example. It's like of just like how it just doesn't really fit in my opinion at
Checkmate,
least.
Ch- Checkmate needed to be around, but I feel like they could have been better. Maybe introduce them earlier in season 9, or maybe even in season 8 when you first introduce Tess. That could work. But
Yeah,
I like
but
Checkmates.
yeah, do you
They're not.
think just one thing, do you think Chloe was underused in this season? Because that's one thing a lot of people online say. I know what you think about the character, but do you think she was still underused?
In season 9, no,
Hmm.
no. What's
I
going
guess
on with
that's
her? That's
I guess
part
that's just
of.
Chloe fanboys. Okay.
Yeah. I think Chloe. She was important for the entire show, and this season, especially at the start of the season, we really see her different than usual because she lost Jimmy. She blames Clark, and there's a cold between Clark and herself because Clark doesn't want to change fate because changing fate ended Clark foster father life. Changing fate killed Jonathan basically, and this was great growth coming from Clark
Mm-hmm.
because Clark is like, I will not change fate, Chloe. Last time I
Yeah.
tried to change fate, Jonathan was just erased.
Yeah.
So
Well, you know what? That's the one thing I think I like about the season the most is the acting. I think it's some of the best in the show in this season.
yeah, I agree. And Polis, I think you had something to say. I add what you wanted to share. I'm curious to hear about your thoughts.
Oh no, I just wanted to add like like what you were saying. Chloe's arc this season was amazing. I think her growth, like her like, firstly there are a few things happening to her this season. She's trying to get over the death of her husband Jimmy from last season. She's having for the first time quite real tension with Clark. Not oh my god, like I like him, does he like me kind of tension, but more of like I really don't trust this guy being our leader, which is good. That's good drama right there. Like that's actually good drama. And then her relationship with Oliver, which eventually flourishes and stuff. Like yeah, I love her arc this season.
And I will add more to what you said. You mentioned she doesn't trust Clark, and I will add more to this. Yes, it's true, but she doesn't trust Oliver either at first. Remember one of her line in Roulette. I know you were not a fan of Roulette, and later on I will tell you why this is one of the best episodes. It's not perfect. It has issues. I found out like two plot convenience that really broke a bit the episode, but it's still like one of my, if we just speak in terms of like liking something without really thinking, just turning the brain off, it's one of my favorite episodes in the entire show. But is it that good? No, it has flaws. I just said it. There are like two plot convenience there, but by the end of that episode, we get a great line from Chloe. I trust you, Oliver, but not that much, not that enough. Something in these veins. So this season, Chloe doesn't trust anybody. She doesn't trust Clark. She doesn't trust Oliver. She doesn't trust Zod. She doesn't trust at all. She doesn't trust Tess for good reason, but that's something core to Chloe character. And by the end of the season, that lack of trust makes her uh, wearing the helmet and then vanishing without telling anybody because she doesn't trust people. And this will affect everyone, especially at the start of season 10 and when she comes back and stuff. Chloe, during the entire show, I feel like a lot of seasons she was just left behind. Perfect example, season 4. Like, the start with Chloe was fine, but then she fell off a cliff and she learns about Clark's secret, and then that's on pause for like 5 episodes, and then oh, she's important again. But then season 5, she was important early on, but as season 5 went on, like they didn't know what to do with Chloe. They didn't know what to do with Chloe in season 6. They didn't know what to do with Chloe in season 7. Man, Chloe is the character that got the most mistreatment because she was there from season 1 to 10, and so many times around she just didn't add much of a character arc. And season 9 and 8 as well. 8, she also had her fair share of the character arc. I don't remember quite well 8 what was her material, but I remember enjoying her a lot in 8, but I would need to rewatch 8. As I said, I didn't have time to rewatch 8. 9, I did add time to rewatch it. That's why I'm that precise. But I think season 9 is the best season for Chloe. Hands down, the best season. I think it's my favorite season for Chloe. And season 10, they also do good stuff with her and her limited amount of episode there because she was kind of demoted to recurring guest in season 10 because the actress didn't want to be around that much anymore. And on top of that, they really wanted four core character to like end their storyline, and these four core character were Clark, Oliver, Tess, and Lois. And Chloe, they still wanted to close her story because she was there since day one, but she wasn't as important as the other four, which is fine because of these four, one of the two is the main character, but the other one is there since season four. So I'm glad they kind of placed the focus at the right place. And it's funny because I've seen many TV shows ending, and season 10, another reason why I like so much season 10 is the limited cast makes it that everyone gets something. And it's rare in a TV show that more than one or two character gets something, some significant growth or character arc. But no, season 10, four character arc, four character that really tie up their storyline on a wonderful way. I think this is one of the reasons why I'd say season 10 is probably my favorite season, but I would need to rewatch. Maybe 9 will be my favorite and like 10 would be second, but on most of my watch, 10 is just amazing. Anyway, we are back at season 9. Season 9, another great thing I really enjoyed, Oliver Queen. What did you think of Oliver Queen Cole?
Uh, yeah, despite what I said in the other seasons, which I still stand by, how they gave him too much screen time, where they didn't develop on the other characters as well, sadly, even if he was good in the show. They gave him the proper amount of screen time in this season, and I really enjoyed him in this, and he was probably, outside of the Clark Zod stuff, he's probably like my second favorite thing in this season.
And what about you, Polis? What did you think of Oliver Queen?
Um, I unfortunately don't remember much about him this season. Yeah, I don't really remember
So
much. Maybe you could tell
I
me
will,
something
yeah,
to jog
I
my
will
memory.
refresh your memory there. So basically, season 8, 9, and 10 again. Tess had their character arc for 3 seasons, and Oliver also had a character arc of his own and throughout the 3 seasons. So season 8 with Oliver, that was his downfall from hero to basically villain, or I should say anti-hero, because he ended someone's life. And season 9 was picking up the broken pieces of Oliver Queen, because ending someone's life and then not being on board with Oliver, with Clark plan to stop Doomsday, and then Jimmy dying in the process. Oliver had a lot of guilt over Doomsday because it was like, if I was by Clark's side instead of like being more extreme than Clark, maybe Jimmy would still be around. So Jimmy's blood is not on everyone's end. I should say Jimmy's blood is on Clark's end and also mine because I didn't follow Clark. And his character arc in season 9 was, I'm broken. Oliver Queen is in season 9 at his lowest he was ever been in the entire show. He was broken. He literally in episode 4, I believe, or three or four, like Rabbit, I believe, the zombie episode. By the end of the episode, he burned the suit. Literally, he burned his own suit, and this was a cry for help. And after that, like Chloe was like, "Oh yeah, I will hide uh, the bow and the arrows so Oliver doesn't break all of his toys, And yeah, so Oliver in season 9, he starts off rock bottom. He's drinking, he's losing his company, he is no more the Green Arrow because he feels messed up. And episode 5, was roulette, and in episode 5, that was Chloe way to bring back Oliver in the right path by showing she is there, by placing him through a lot of games, if we can call it that way, to bring
Let's call
back.
it torture. Let's call
Yeah,
it
torture.
torture.
Let's yeah, let's call it torture. Yeah, yeah, let's call it torture. So Chloe basically tortured Oliver, and Oliver, by the end of that episode, he realized there's still a hero inside of him. And then the rest of his character arc in season 9 was trying to bring back the hero he was once before he ended Blake's life. And that's amazing. And another step is now he gets to train someone else. And that's part of his arc. Like, he's like, okay, I will have friends again. I will be Oliver again. I will be Green Arrow again. So his entire thing for like the first 12-ish episode is to be the Green Arrow again, because he kind of gave up on the Green Arrow because Lex and Jimmy. And by like the back half, Oliver Journey was like, um, I will be the more extreme way to solve Zod. I will end Zod, uh, to make sure the future doesn't happen. But here's the catch: Clark doesn't want that extreme to happen. Clark is like, Zod can be saved. Zod can be redeemed.
Oh, I have a funny thing about this later. I'll share that I wrote something down when I first watched that episode that you're talking about right now.
Yeah, and then this is a moment where we see a shift in Oliver. Oliver is no longer extreme. Oliver is like, oh, this time around, I learned from Jimmy Deft. I will be with Clark. I will listen to Clark, and I will be on the same page as Clark. Even if my way is more extreme, even if I feel like I should end someone's life, this time around, I will think it through. I will listen to my team. I will listen to my allies, because my allies, they are as important as myself. So this is a great character moment. The fact that Oliver didn't go for the kill shot at Zod, and he just wanted to incapacitate the guy because Clark told him to do so. This showcased that the Oliver we got is much better than the Oliver we had in the past, because now Oliver is willing to listen to others, and now Oliver try his best to no longer go by extreme he was
Hmm.
used to go at.
Yeah, I mean, what did you think of the action in this?
That was good. I liked the action a lot. What did you think of it, Cole, since you bring that one up?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. Again, that's another one of my strengths for this.
So, Paulus, do you want to share about that plot thread like you mentioned?
Sorry, what? Again?
Uh, you had notes about it, about
Oh,
Clark and Oliver dynamic this season?
yes, yes. Okay. Um, okay, thank you for the recap. I just remembered, yes, this season was very boohoo Oliver, especially the first half. He was basically he was basically one bad day from ending his life, I feel. So yeah, it was a lot of boohoo and stuff until roulette, which I don't know, like I don't know. I don't know if you saw my tweet on roulette. No, it wasn't a tweet. It was on my community page. Uh,
I've
I
seen it. That's
basically,
why I say I know you were not a big fan of roulette, because I have seen it. So go on.
I know. It's just Chloe's way of trying to bring back this basically borderline suicidal man. He was ready to end it. He was drinking himself to death. He had nothing to live for. Her version of, you know what? How do I bring Green Arrow back? I'm gonna torture the hell out of him, make sure he has even more less things to live for, and that will bring him back. Which in fairness it worked, but like on paper I'll be like, are you crazy? Like you want to kill this guy? Like yeah. So that was my only gripe. Like the premise of the episode didn't really make sense. I also didn't realize that Chloe was capable of such horrible things to do to a person until that point. But I guess she is. So that was my gripe with roulette. Okay, and then the when you mentioned that was having this Oliver was kind of like shocked with Clark not wanting to be extreme. I believe that was episode 9 because I have notes here when I watched the episode for the first time. I
That's
literally
actually later. So
oh
nine was the episode where they went in the future, and in the future, Oliver was indeed more extreme, and in that future, they were not on the same page.
oh I see. Okay,
But
then I
what I mentioned is basically, I believe that was like episode 18 or 17. It's like by like the very end. Like, so what happened is um Oliver goes at Tess to get information, and Zod was around, and Zod was like, "Oh, I will end you," and then Oliver is like having a fight with Zod, and he shot Zod, but they didn't go for the kill shot because Clark prior to that moment was like, he can be saved, he can be redeemed. But yeah, the result of that, the moment Oliver looks away, Zod is like back on his feet, and then he burns him alive with his eat
mm,
vision.
mm,
I
okay.
don't know if this reminds you of something.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I didn't realize you were talking about the later part. Okay, I'll just share quickly what I wrote down. So I believe it was episode 9 was when they started pivoting on their plan to deal with Zod. So by the end of not season 9, by the end of episode 9, uh, Chloe was like, "Oh, so what are we gonna do about Zod? We're gonna stop him, right?" And then Clark basically said, because I wrote in my notes in all caps, what do you mean you don't want to go kill Zod? Haven't you learned anything? And I even wrote here, quote that final convo he had with Chloe. So his final convo he had with Chloe was, in the future, I decided to fight Zod and he became a greater enemy. So this time I'm gonna, befriend him. So that's when I kind of lost my mind. I was like, did you learn nothing from season 8 and what happened with that? Like season 8, he chose to be more pacifistic with Sam Witwer. What was it? Doomsday. He chose to, you know what? We're not against everybody's wishes. You know what? I just want to send him away. I'm not gonna kill him, and that blew up in his face. So now that's why I don't know. That's why in this episode where he was like, you know what? I'm not gonna kill Zod. I'm not gonna do anything extreme like that. I'm gonna try and become his friend. And I can see literally what Chloe was thinking in his mind. Chloe was probably in her mind was like, Clark, you're insane. Like this is Jimmy 2.0 all over again. And yeah, so that's what I wrote in my notes. Have you learned nothing? What do you mean don't kill Zod? I just thought it
I
was funny that
I will add a bit more to this.
okay.
He has seen the future, right? And in that future, he realizes he fought Zod as an enemy. And now he's like, what if I try another way? Instead of fighting him as an enemy, I will befriend him. So that's the thought process behind it, doing something different from what it was in the future. And now, the thing to back up that thought process was meeting his father. The last word Jor-El had to Clark was save Zod. And this did stick into Clark's mind. So Clark, this time around, decided to listen to his father, which is another layer of growth for Clark. So you may see it as, oh, he didn't learn from Doomsday. Actually, he learned from something else. Each time he didn't listen to Jor-El, something bad happened. He didn't listen to Jor-El when it was reckoning, and the result, Jonathan died. He didn't listen to Jor-El when Jor-El was like, "Oh yeah, if you don't come back by sunset, you lose your power." He lost his powers. So season 9, it's really intertwined to Jor-El and his relationship toward Jor-El, because now he is more listening to Jor-El, and that's more the way you need to picture it and see it. And as I said, he has seen the future, and having Zod as an enemy didn't work because obviously Zod won. So let's have him as an ally. Now, I got something else to say. Episode 13 is so sad because that episode is so horrendous, but the ending is wonderful. Episode 13, in case guys forgot about that, the rest of the plot outside of the ending doesn't matter. I don't give a shit about it. I truly hate that episode. But the ending, we see Clark is like, the future will happen if I don't stop it now. So now we got that music, early 2000, classic Smallville. He goes
Oh, it's when he
outside.
burns the building down. That was
Yeah,
sick. That was
pew pew
sick.
pew. He destroyed both towers. This is an amazing episode, and in season 10, they can twist that moment around, and I didn't like the way they treated that moment in season 10. But in season 9, this is a great moment. He just burns down both tower to save everyone. That's one of my favorite moments in the season. This and like Oliver burning the suit. These are like two great moments in the season that I really like. They are just placed in such strong episodes. It's so sad. Why? Um. So
You
yeah.
know, all we
See.
needed for that burning the building scene was some Linkin Park. We just needed the "What I've done" as the building burns down. That would have been even sicker.
So I think we talked in length about season 9. I'm wondering if you guys want to add more before we move on to top 3 and worst 3.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I have nothing else to say.
What about you, Polis? Do you have anything else to say before we move to top 3, worst 3?
Um. Oh, okay. Maybe just a fun little thing. I would like that. I like Zod a lot. Zod is probably the best villain out of all the seasons. I did mention he was imperfect, and I think I just want to mention. I don't know why. I think the way he was acted by Callum Blue, I believe was the actor's name.
Uh,
I believe the way he was acted by him sometimes was very off-putting. So
that's a very common complaint.
oh, is that a
Um,
common complaint? Okay, okay.
yeah, I've seen that around a lot. I've heard a lot about it, and this is why a lot of people are like, "Season 9 is so bad," because they really hate Zod. But they don't really understand the character. But yeah,
On
the
paper, he was
acting,
really good. Yeah,
yeah, on paper it was amazing, but
yeah.
the acting, I will be with you, man. The acting was not always on point, and usually I don't really tend to nitpick acting because usually I don't see that, but I see it with Zod.
This one
I can
stuck
see
out.
the complaint.
Yeah, he every time he enunciates words, his mouth fully opens, like like he's a puppet or something, and like in other moments, he's just ungodly, like creepy, like when he's trying to be like, look how sexual I look, Tess, come on, like you want this Kryptonian D, that kind of stuff. So it was just
So
kind of off
this,
putting sometimes. Yeah.
I will defend this.
Okay.
Um, Zod is a seducer. He's a general, and he's good at using people. So this part of the character was on point. but sometimes the acting kind of ruin the characterization. But I I see why. Like is like a lot of the dictator, they have that charming aspect to it, and I can relate a lot because Justin Trudeau, the retard we placed in charge of Canada, he is a future dictator and he is good at charming people.
Okay.
So when I see Zod acting like that, okay, that's a dictator there. God knows what I'm talking about.
Trudeau is the best prime minister ever. He's done nothing wrong.
Stop lying. I know you lie.
Not like the time where he, gave $11 million to a former terrorist just because he was tortured a little, and
Or
then gave
every
no
trip
money
he
to the
does just to
veterans.
look good.
Sounds like a swell guy.
Or
Yeah.
all
If
these
you
times
if you
he has
mispronounce pronouns, then you're going to jail.
or all these times you're laughing, but that's true though, they are in a nutshell.
Oh my god.
We got
Okay.
like the worst prime minister. I just don't believe he made two mandate. Anyway, that's it for
Yeah,
the
when he was
tangent.
elected, he was great, had great ideas. He was
And he was elected in
easily amazing.
minority the second time. That's the worst than that. I know I didn't vote for
Well,
this retard.
when the first time he deserved it because he was genuinely the best, and because both of the other options were trash. But then the moment he was elected, he just pulled a 180 and then just like did the opposite of the good things he said he would do, and just did a trash job, and like couldn't actually do prime minister things. But then in the next election, because the new Democratic Party isn't as popular, and then the one like Conservative Party, their leader is kind of nuts in that re-election, and people at least agreed with people who worked for Trudeau, but not Trudeau himself. That's why he basically won again.
Anyway, Zod the dictator, we have a real life Zod in charge of our country. Anyway, um, top three episode and worst three episode for
Nice.
Paulus. What would be your top
Hmm.
three based on the title, and what would be your worst three based on the title again?
I'm excited to hear this.
Oh man, best three? Damn.
Yeah,
Okay, you're
that's
gonna make
hard
me
to pick.
choose. This is hard because it's season 9. Okay, the first episode that comes to mind is Salvation, the season finale.
Mhm.
Amazing episode. Clark's
Oh
rise
yeah,
to being Superman, Zod, and him fighting. Amazing. Um Man, okay, just for how much objectively it's probably not one of the top 3 episodes, but with how much fun I had with it, I'm gonna say Escape. Like it was
Wait,
just it
what?
was I don't know. Escape was so
it,
like
it,
funny.
I mean, I can understand that to an extent where, okay, the ideas and everything in it is like entertaining, I guess, and it's like
Uh
turn your brain off fun, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it was still done poorly, like a sort of like a Saw film.
And on top of that, it felt like the relationship between Chloe and Oliver felt like an insert from the writer
Yeah.
praising just friends with benefits.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's
That's how
Yeah,
definitely, I
it
it
think,
was
going to
too
felt.
be a
early
bottom
on in
three
their
for us.
relationship. That's like, oh, oops. Well, okay. I understand. I do get your perspective. It probably was not anywhere close to the best episode. I just thought like it was so it stood out to me because like throughout the season everything was so heavy. So
Hmm.
it was nice to see our characters just have fun for like one episode. And we have like a villain that honestly felt like it belonged in like season 1 and 2 of Smallville. So that kind of brought me back a little bit. So
Yeah.
hence,
This I agree on
yeah,
that. It was as
yeah,
shitty as these early season villains. And this
yeah.
is funny because very different take on my end. I think the first two seasons of the show are some of the weakest. Season 4 is clearly the worst, but one
What?
and two are weak. So
Wow.
if you really
Okay.
want to know the detail about it, Go take a look again at the streams we did about it. It's always on the title, Smallville. But to summarize, I think season 1 and 2 were filled the filler, and
I disagree, but I mean,
It was a
now that
different
we
show. It was a
yes, like
different
now that
show.
we know the grand scale of things, like sure
Hmm.
it can be considered filler or like kind of pointless, but again, back then they didn't have this stuff in
It was
planned or
trying
weren't
to
doing
achieve
that.
something different.
Yeah, so you have to sort of like separate it from when they started doing like a connection thing and take it for what it is. And when you do, I mean, it definitely wasn't perfect, but I wouldn't say it's at all like one of some of the worst. I do think they were solid and
yeah.
with some good
Mhm.
aspects for sure. And definitely say like in the middle when it comes to season rankings, in my opinion, at least.
and and I will add more. I'm a big fan of like when you do a TV show, it's just a very long movie, so have things connecting. And season 1 and 2 didn't connect enough stuff in my liking. Season 3 did connect a lot. Even season 4 connected better stuff, but season 4 was just dog shit. But season 5 was amazing because it did everything season 2 was doing good, but it changed the flavor by giving a bigger storyline throughout the season, and by giving us Brainiac, and by giving us like something to be invested into for 22-ish episodes. And the same goes for 6, even if 6 has really bad moments and it has flaws. I still think 6 is better than 1 and 2. I may shock some of you, but I know Cole' opinion is different on that. He didn't like 6. 6 would be like in the more like bottom pack with 7 with him, I think. But I just think season 3 is just amazing. Season 3, like, it did better what season 1 and 2 tried to do, and season 3 did planted the seeds of let's have a storyline for 23-ish episodes. And that's why I like so much season 3. And I think season 3 themes of sickness, illness, and mental illness, and addiction, and that kind of stuff was well handled. It was wonderful. So I think season 3 is very superior. It's far better than 1 and 2. But anyway, so you had Escape in your top 3. What would be the other two, Paulus?
Okay, so Salvation, Escape, and I will just say Echo.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like Echo and that
Echo.
final bit. Yeah. That whole bomb stuff.
Echo was great.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
like
liked
that a lot.
Echo a lot, and
Yeah, those are my top two.
it had a great moment where you realized, you the viewer, you really realized there's something wrong with Oliver, and also Clark realized that at the same time as a viewer, because he wanted to end his own life by
He
the end of that
basically wanted
episode.
to off himself, yeah.
And that was wow. That was peak growth, peak writing. Echo is just wow. I still have one issue with that episode, but I still liked it a lot. Like in terms of like storytelling and story beats, wow. I liked it. Cannot blame you. So what would be your worst 3 episode this season?
All right. Could we come back to me in a bit? I'll just look through the list real quick. Maybe Cole or you can go first with your top three.
Perfect. We will let
Yeah.
Cole, because me it's the guessing game. So
Yeah,
Cole,
well,
what would be your
yeah.
top 3 and
Top
worst three?
three is Crossfire. Sorry, Crossfire, Absolute Justice, and Salvation. Bottom three is Escape, Charade, and Persuasion. And just to give him some time, I can just already say my guesses, 'cause I already have them down. My guesses for your top three are Sacrifice, Crossfire, and Roulette. But, actually, mine is Crossfire. Yeah, Sacrifice, Salvation, and Roulette. And then prediction for your bottom three is Checkmate, Warrior, and Escape.
You're damn close on one of these three, and you hit the nerve right on one of the three. But the third one, I see why you picked it, but I will surprise you with that one. Polis, did you have ideas on your worst three before I let you guess what would be my top three and my worst three?
Um. Okay, I'm just looking through the list here. Um. I know I'm okay. Probably not really thought through a lot. I'm just going with what I felt when I watched it during the streams that I was having. I would probably say roulette is one of them, just because like it was a okay episode, but the premise was just very like off for me. You know why? Um this one I'm probably gonna get a lot of heat, but I don't know. I don't think absolute justice was that big of a deal. Maybe because I'm not a comic book fan, or like a big DC fan, or maybe it just went on too long. It built up to like I remember one thing, like during the stream where we were watching along this episode, my viewers, I was thinking like, okay, they're building this up like fine. Let's just give me a fight that's good, and I'll be fine with the episode. And I believe the fight lasts like 30 seconds, or like really 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 short. So I was really disappointed in that. I didn't really care about much of the heroes that were introduced. They felt like very like one note. So probably gonna get a lot of heat, but I don't think absolute justice was that big of a deal. And then for my third one, um I don't know. Um, yeah, I can't think of one right now. Maybe we'll just stick with those two first for now.
Okay, so I will defend absolute justice here.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
the purpose of it was for Clark by the end of the season when the Book of Raoul is there, and he realizes if he uses the Book of Raoul, he may end up leaving Earth. And now that we got an entire Justice League basically on Earth, um, we feel like it's an option he could consider, and he could actually take it and the world would still be safe. That was one of the purpose of absolute justice. The other one was, yes, Easter egg. Yes, let's make these comic book fan happy. And the episode is not perfect by any means. I enjoyed it a lot, but it has flaws. The other thing that matters is Hawkman, because he will be back in season 10, and because he is a cool character. Um, on top of that, this season, or I should say, this episode also added more context. So Clark team is new to the entire superhero thing, and they have things they need to improve. But the best way to depict what they need to work on is to showcase another team that does similar thing, and that was the purpose of Absolute Justice. Absolute Justice was there to showcase another team that worked well for many years prior, and that was there to really tell us, look, this is a new team. What we got with Clark, Oliver, Chloe, and the other one on screen, we see on episode 20, I believe. So Absolute Justice is a big deal. It's very important. It was needed, but it has flaws, and people tend to just turn a blind eye to it because there's so much comic book stuff happening in it. It's also a setup for Checkmate. It's also a setup for a lot of things that will happen in season 10. It's also a way to bring back Martian Manhunter powers. So there's a lot of things going on. Even if there's no action, the meat and the story of Absolute Justice is essential. and take that episode away, and there's something missing. That's
Right.
how I see it.
Yeah, I understand your point. Yeah.
So now the guessing game. Cole already played the guessing game, so I will let you play the guessing game. What do you think is my worst three and my top three?
Okay, your top three. Okay, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get two of the three right. It has to be like top three anyway. It has to be Salvation and Echo for you. The third one is a bit of a toss up. Um, I would say, mm, the I would say Pandora is your top three. So yeah, so those are my guesses for top three: Pandora, Salvation, and Echo. I'm pretty confident about Salvation and Echo. Third one, not really. Okay, for your worst three, it has to be okay. Going off on what Cole said, as much as I liked it, I don't think you liked it anywhere near as much as I did. So Escape. There was one with like a kid, right? Oh, was it
That's
Warrior?
Warrior, yeah.
Yeah, War. I don't think you like Warrior because on paper it was just pure filler, and I don't think you like that. So Warrior, Escape, and hmm, another one that I'm not very sure of. Um, okay. Let me switch my top three. So it's Salvation, Echo, and I'll put Candor.
Mm.
That's your top three. Now for your third worst. I was gonna say roulette, but you actually kind of like that one, from what I heard.
I
Okay,
liked
okay,
it a lot. I
okay,
liked it a
okay,
lot. And I
okay. I
still think
really
that's a
like.
good episode. It's not perfect, but that's still a
Okay,
good episode.
okay. I'll just say Rabbit. Rabbit is another third one because it on paper it's filler. Yeah. So I'll say those three.
I like both of your takes, and because I have time to watch, I will actually screen my tier list I am
Okay,
currently
sure.
working on, so you guys
I'm
will see
excited
the
to see.
entire thing. So worst three, surprise, surprise, Warrior is not there. Now I did consider placing it there, but I gave another shot to the episode, and it's not great, but it could have been worse. So, worst three are Escape, which is rock bottom.
Yikes. Okay.
Fortune is godly terrible. I think guys forgot about that trash episode. It's the episode where Clark is basically drunk. Oh no, that's season 10. Never
That's
mind.
season 10. That's season
Yeah,
10.
man, I got things mixed up. Um, so Escape was worst. The
Okay.
second worst was Rabid.
Oh, I
So
got it right. Okay.
Rabid, I am heartbroken. As I said, I really like the scene where Oliver burned the suit, and that's the only important scene about that shitty episode. And the idea is good, but it's filler. It's just pointless. It's just to fill the
I thought it was fun
blanks.
though. I thought it was really fun.
And I don't like zombies.
I see. All right. So we got some
Yeah.
biasness going on here,
uh,
Uh-huh.
huh?
the third one is persuasion. And I said it. I am a huge fan of just Clark burning down a dang building. This is amazing. But this damn episode is a cringe fest. I want to delete myself when I watch this shit. It's like Lois leaving her job at the planet to cook for Clark. Like, bro, what is this shit? It's like it's is it like a dream of some of the writer? They're like, let's insert my dream life. A husband that works very hard for me and me
How do
just
we put
staying at home
Lois
cooking.
in the most, like, subservient way to fulfill our fantasies?
Yeah, exactly. This episode is just straight up bad. Burn it to the ground, bro. Um so yeah, these are my worst three. So I'm heartbroken about roulette because I did like roulette a lot. I like Roulette, like it's one of my favorite episodes in the entire show, but since it's not one of the best, um, it just drops a bit. But about Warrior, both of you guessed Warrior. Warrior is still kind of low, I think. Let me find Warrior. I'm wondering where is War. Oh, Warrior is basically an A tier, so it's still like fourth in the ranking of the worst episodes. So, guys, we're not that far since both of you guessed Warrior. That's one of the worst. Um, so yeah, I'm heartbroken to place Roulette this low, but I gotta be honest, there are flaws. There are flaws.
I
So
thought you would really like that episode.
I liked it. I said it earlier. It's one of like if we just speak, I turn off my brain. I turn off my brain. I just watch that as the Oliver storyline. That's in my top 10 episode, just in terms of pure liking it. It's one of my favorites ever. But the flaws, the episode that just stopped it from doing that good, and I gotta be
Okay.
honest. So in terms of like just liking something, that's a 10 for me. That's like just liking
Mhm.
it's like John Wick, but not as bad because there it's actually a good episode. I still think it's a good episode, but it's one of my favorites in the entire show, but it has flaws. I won't disregard it. Echo is quite high, but here again, a flaw appeared. I can't remember what was the flaw exactly,
Yeah.
but this flaw brought down the episode a bit. But
I mean,
it's
this is
still like,
around where I thought Rabbit would be, or Rape, whatever it's called.
yeah, Echo is just still very good. I liked it a lot,
Yeah, it was good.
and
I'm
my
still
I
surprised by the Rabbit ranking because I mean, I figured you would have a lot of issues with it, but I just thought the good moments would be enough to not have it bottom three.
no,
Yeah,
I always have PTSD toward that
yeah,
rabbit episode.
yeah. Jesus, I mean, I figured it'd be like bottom five, but I didn't think bottom three. But okay, yeah. Could you
So
please tell me though why Checkmate is fucking number one right there? Because they
Oh
did
my
not
god.
execute that well at all. I'm sorry, and also
that
why the
for me
fuck
that was
is
a 10 out of 10, no issue
what
whatsoever.
the fuck? And also, why was Penn there? Like I liked the episode, but fucking hell, Tess in it was like alone dragged it down.
Disciple was higher, but okay, here's the thought process. Anything in S plus was a 10 out of 10 for me. So Sacrifice 10 out of 10, Pandora 10 out of 10, Disciple 10 out of 10, Conspiracy 10 out of 10, and Checkmate 10 out of 10. Now, the
Can I
reason
just
why,
say combat being
upgrade.
there is such a cultured take. I like that a lot.
But that's the lowest of the 10s. But
Still, it's a 10.
the reason why it's that high combat, it's because Clark freaking ends someone's life, but they still explain it very well where it's believable and it's fine he did that. It doesn't destruct the character whatsoever. But I still had no issue whatsoever with that episode. So okay, Sacrifice is lower than Upgrade, and the reason is I can't remember. Actually, Sacrifice was after Oliver got burned down, but that's like the
Hmm.
only thing I really remember.
Yeah, no, that
Um,
that was the one I believe you talked about with like
the
the one
chat.
character, the character like understanding things now with
Oh
trying to solve
yeah,
issues. But and yeah, I like that episode. But my question though is why fucking Charade is also up there. That was
Charade.
I'm
Where's
just gonna let you
Charade?
explain. It's above. It's right next to it on the left.
That's Progency. No, that's Luxurious
No,
season 10.
next one.
Upgrade.
Oh, that's upgrade.
Yeah, Charade is lower.
Okay. No, never mind.
Charade,
Because I was gonna say
Charade.
if that was charade there, I would have fucking lost it. But okay,
No,
that's
it's
fair
it's
enough.
it's upgrade. Charade is still kind of high though. Charade is like on par. Well, close by
Well, yeah.
Savior,
Again, I don't really think
Metallo.
there's like a bad episode this season, but yeah, it's just
Yeah,
definitely one
but
of the lower ones
okay.
to me.
So the biggest reason why Upgrade went above Sacrifice would be I remember Metallo being there, and Metallo had freaking growth, and he is a supporting character. Like that was, I think, his third appearance in the show, and he is already a more fleshed out character, and I liked that a lot. And we had was really cool, and him just being side by side with Zod felt just right because he was on Red K. I like this shit a lot. That's why Upgrade took the win over Sacrifice. Now, Pandora, I placed it over Upgrade because it showcased a future that was very interesting. And it gives two paths for the story to go. Tess Pat and Clark Pat. They both see the same future, but they don't want, like, one wants that future and the other doesn't. And that's very interesting because two human watching the same future, maybe these two human won't want the same thing over that future. So the idea of Pandora is just wonderful, and I like that future s thing, and it didn't feel rushed. The pacing was just perfect, and Tess just straight up ending someone's life when she comes back was shocking and very accurate
Yeah,
for a
too bad
character.
the performance was not good, but you know, I'm sorry. I just her delivery is just I like the episode. It would have been top three otherwise, but that fucking character it was so poorly done in my opinion.
So Pandora took the win over Upgrade because I just think it's a more important episode, and Upgrade was not filler whatsoever, but Pandora was more important than Upgrade for sure. Um, so Disciple, this one is this eye, and here's the why. You guys know me. I like Oliver Queen. He is amazing. He's the goat, and this is the Oliver Queen episode, and we get more about his past, his backstory. We get more of that, and I'm all in for it. And it's really cool to have a different take from the Arrow TV show. That's just amazing. I like Disciple a lot, and that's funny because that's the kind of episode that could be like considered filler by some, but it's not because it's they flesh out Oliver basically, and Oliver is part of the main cast, so it's important to learn like Oliver origin because all we had so far with that season about Oliver origin was his time on the island with season 8, but that's all we had. We didn't know really who helped him out to be a better archer and who trained him to fight and have like these and combat. But then we get into that at that cult of archer, and that's just great. Now, I'm proud and surprised at the same time that two episodes actually surpassed Jitters. Jitters, in case you forgot about that one, Polis, Jitters was in season 1, and it
Oh
was
no, don't worry.
installed.
I remember Jitters very well. Yeah.
That one was installed my favorite. That was the only episode in season 1 for me that was worth a 10 out of 10. And if the entire season was like Jitter, damn, I would like the hell out of season 1. Um, Jitter just reflects very well the different parents' dynamic. The Kents are loving, and the Luthers are just cold. So money doesn't buy like happiness. That's the perfect metaphor to this. Like the Luthers, they create broken people, and the Kents they create heroes. So yeah, conspiracy took over that spot. The reason why is in this specific episode, we can see that Clark cares as much for the Kandorian than the human. He values everyone's life on the same level. We also get to see Zod being smart and just infiltrating like the Daily Planet to learn stuff. That's really cool. He's smart. That's a great Zod episode there. And even if he doesn't have power, Zod is willing to go out and risk his life to save one of his own. That's just peak writing for your main villain. You can feel for the guy. Even if he ends people life, even if he burns people alive, you're like, that guy loves his people. He cares for his people. So yes, he's a damn villain, but he has his art at the right place. And this is why I like that one so much. And it's also in this episode that Clark basically makes himself bleed uh, to give his blood to Zod.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, when I had seen that scene, I did consider plot convenience. I did consider it, and I almost took away a point from that. I was like, okay, kryptonite. It just happens to be there. But I gave it a pass because that's a lab, and we know the guy was experimenting on Kryptonians, so he probably had kryptonite somewhere. So because of that, I'm like, okay, I will let that one slide because it could be believable that the guy has some kryptonite there because he experiments on Kryptonians. But I did consider it. This crossed my mind. So the reason why Checkmate is that I is now we see in action the new League of Superheroes, and that scene where there's a slow mo where everything is flashing and Clark just saved Chloe was great.
The comic book panel scene.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
and
looked like a comic book panel the way they still framed him. Yeah, that was really cool.
on top of that, as a supporting character, Martian Manhunter was wonderful. I think outside of Oliver Queen, Martian Manhunter is my favorite supporting character in this show. Literally. I'm not joking. I'm a huge Martian Manhunter fan in this show. I think in this show he is maybe slightly better than in the Supergirl TV show. I say slightly better, and that's heartbreaking because they still did a few good things with Martian Manhunter in season 3 and 4 of Supergirl, but this Martian Manhunter, man, he bodies that role. That guy knows what he's doing. They casted the character well, and it fits very well the tone. Because in season 6, when he was first introduced, that season was kind of dark. Let's be honest. We see people getting experimented on, and man, we literally see someone getting like his spine getting broken by someone in season 6. Season 6 was darker than what people tend to think. Season 9, our Martian Manhunter is back, wiping people. This episode was flawless, no issue whatsoever. Everything made sense. The action was cool. It was entertaining. I was hooked from start to finish. And every time I rewatch this TV show, I like so much that episode. I just cannot find any issues with it. That's why it's hands down my favorite episode so far. And yeah, that's it for the screen share. I really liked Echo, but sadly Echo had one issue that made it drop. So we are now in the grade area. What would be
Mhm.
your grade out of 10, Cole?
Like a 8.
Okay. What about you, Polis?
This has to be the same season number for me. It's gonna be a 9. It's nearly perfect. It has some flaws with it, but it's as best as the show can be for me.
And I can see why. So for me, after rewatching recently, like this week, I give this season a 9.5 out of 10 which is my highest number so far with the show. So this is hands down my favorite season. And to compare, last 9.5 I gave was Arrow second season. I'd say Arrow second season is better than Smallville ninth season, but I still liked a lot Smallville ninth season. Wonderful show. So yeah, I don't have much more to say. Do you have time for a show cap holders, or you don't have time? Unfortunately, I'm wondering. I'm asking you. Do you have time?
Time for what? Sorry, what'd you say?
Ashoka. Ashoka.
Oh, Ahsoka. No, sorry, I
Ashoka.
gotta go. Yeah.
Okay, but thank you very much for coming, man. You're amazing. Is there anything going on your channel? What would you like to plug? What
Oh,
are your future project for your channel now that you're done watching Smallville?
okay. Firstly, thank you again for having me. It's been fun, really fun once again talking Smallville with you guys and talking other stuff as well. If we had the time. For my channel, it's been slowing down a little bit, but it's ironic that you asked because I'm also making a Smallville ranking video where I rank every single episode from 1 to 218. So it was kind of funny that you showed me your ranking because I was like, "Oh, I'm doing that as well." So keep a lookout for that. I'm going to be ranking every episode of the show in a tier list as well. So that's the biggest video I have coming up so far. Yep.
That's very good. So just before you leave, I almost forgot to ask you that because we don't know if you will be there Tuesday. You're still invited Tuesday. I will drop you the link if you're available. Well, that would be your Wednesday morning. We will talk season 10 of Smallville. So if you're available on your Wednesday morning, my Tuesday evening, you're invited to join us for both Ashoka and Smallville. So with that being said, what would be your grade? Let's say like the entire show is wanting. What would be your grade out of 10 for the entire show? Just in case you cannot show up Tuesday, what would be your grade out of 10 for the entire show?
For Smallville,
Yeah,
I would give it a solid. I'd give it a solid 7. It's not I don't think it can be any higher because it does have a lot of glaring issues in some of the seasons. Some of the plot lines have not aged very well. A lot of it is yeah, it just hasn't aged very well. Nor can it be lower than that because the highs that the show hit are very very high. And I believe that when if you look at just the highs of the show in one like unedited clip, you would think, oh, this is one of the best superhero shows ever seen. But unfortunately, you do have to trudge along with some of the trappings of a show from that era and stuff like that. That's why it can't be higher, but it can't be any lower. So I'd give it a solid 7.
okay, and one last question. What would be
Yes,
your
sir.
ranking of the 10th season? Like all 10 season together?
All 10
From
seasons.
worst to best or best to worst?
Oh man, you can't put me on the spot like that right now. Well, okay, nine definitely has to be on top. I don't think that's a question for me. Um, After that, it gets very dicey. I'd have to go back and look at it. I'll get back to you on this in a future episode, maybe.
Okay. Well, if Wednesday morning for you and Tuesday evening for me, you join us, feel free to share that. So I will repeat what I already told you, or if I didn't told you now, you will know it. If you need anyone as a guest for a video or a stream, you know how to contact me. I'm always open to do collabs with everyone. I'm glad when people come in, and I'm glad when I'm invited. So that's how I see it. Thank you again, Polis.
Thank you. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you very much, guys.
Have a good one. Take care, and we will talk later.
All right, take care, everybody. Bye bye.
Just you and I, like when we first started. So, I guess Punisher is next. Punisher,
Yeah,
man.
this is the other one I don't have much to say about. and we should probably just get all the films out of the way, and then I guess, sorry, not
Okay,
the
let's.
films. I mean, sorry, did I say films? I meant, okay, well, I actually don't even know how many films we have left. I think it's actually, just the one of me saying my thoughts that I missed last week.
n-
Sorry, it's Event Horizon and stuff. But anyway, never mind. We don't.
Nirvana the band, um,
Yeah, just
and
yeah.
Event
Let's
Horizon.
just. Yeah. Okay. Punisher. Again, this is so. Yeah, this is the one I have the least to say about this week. Because honestly, there's nothing too much memorable or that I cared about too much, like in
Season one
detail.
right now. Just to
Yeah,
remind you, season one.
yeah, I know.
The only
So my
good
rating
season.
for yeah, yeah. I know we're not doing season 2 yet, but yeah. Again, there's nothing like too in detail or memorable that I remember, like with the in betweens and stuff to point out. But maybe that's just because I was watching it while I was sick. But either way, so yeah, I won't have too much to say, but I'll say like the basics. Basically, the problems with this show is, yeah, as usually I don't care about runtimes or pacing of things because I'm used to like whatever length of things, but yeah, there are definitely like, I would say 5% of the time, and that's actually quite a chunk because I do watch like hundreds of films and stuff per year, so that is a lot, but just not as common as other people's issues with it. But either way, this is definitely one of them, which is, yeah, the pacing is pretty fucking bad. Like, there's just no reason for a show like this and what they're doing in it and with the characters to have this type of pacing and also runtime and stuff in these episodes. Like, Luke Cage made more sense, even though they wasted it and they didn't they didn't like do stuff they should have, which made the pacing or the runtime in it bad. It still had a point to be that long because of all the material and everything. In this, there was just no point at all, and there's many bad moments in this with some, at points with the like I would say it's the the character Frank, his methods in this, it makes it really hard to like at all care for him because what he does is pretty problematic and morally wrong, but he always gets a free pass, and not in a Punisher way, in just a bad writing, lazy way. Because the movies did it properly, but in this, it's was just done poorly. And yeah, there's just so many plot holes and problems with the character and the writing in this. Uh, and overall, yeah, the writing, filmmaking, the action, and everything, and the acting, all of it from start to finish has moments that are really good and then moments that are like not as bad as like, honestly the best way to describe it is actually there are moments where it's as good as Luke Cage season 1, but then moments that are as mediocre to bad as Luke Cage season 2. That's the best way to describe it in season 1 here, especially with the main performance. Like, there are moments with him where I'm like, yes, okay, I can understand why he's probably just going to be a fucking like supporting guy in every film for the rest of his fucking career. His performance in this, and then there are other moments where he does a fantastic job. So it's very inconsistent. I forgot the guy's fucking, yeah, right, John Burfall, but yeah, you've been in shitloads of stuff. Usually it's just like 15 minutes or so as a supporting character, and yeah, you can tell why at moments in this. But anyway, I do think, yeah, like most of the show though does a good job. I would say it's like 60% of it does a good job, and the other 40% does a really poor job, but not like as bad as something like Iron Fist, just very weak though. And again, just that pacing really fucking kills it. But there's enough good in the show where, for this season one, where it's as solid and watchable as like that one Punisher film that people like. That's a bit polarized and has like mixed ratings online, like a 6.7 on IMDb, I think, and like a 3.4 or something on Letterboxd. But that most people enjoy. I would say it's like around that range. And let's just not talk about season 2 yet, but at least that's season 1 though. I don't remember how bad season 2 was because I forgot about it all already. It was so forgettable. I only remember a couple. Sorry, I only remember like a couple of main plot things with like characters that I think like deaths, like dramatic deaths, or they were trying to do. I think from my memory, I don't know. But that's about all I remember. That and like something in like some apartment. That's really it because it was so just it was so not memorable at all. Anyway, that's really all I have to say. And please don't tell me what my top 3 and worst 3 episodes are and such, or to guess, because honestly, with this show, I wasn't keeping track of that this week because I was gonna. But next week I'll try to do that with season 2. But this week I couldn't, so my bad.
Okay. You know what? It's very sad because Punisher could have been great. Daredevil was great.
Mm.
Why Punisher can't be that great?
This was like the character and IP of Punisher is literally a mix of Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Daredevil. It's literally a mix of all those things, and but in its own style. So it's like you had the groundwork and you fucked up.
And you know what's hilarious? Episode 1. I was rewatching it, and I remember watching season 1 and 2 many years ago. When the show came out, I actually have seen the entire first season when it first came out. And season 2, it took me a long time to try to give it a shot, but then I gave up after 3 episodes. But season 1, right when it came out, I was excited. I was hyped. I was like, another great show like Daredevil, because I like Daredevil. And this is funny because at that point, I had seen Daredevil and Jessica Jones. And it's only after watching Punisher that I decided to give a shot to Luke Cage and Iron Fist. But anyway, I was so hyped. And I think that hype blinded me back then because I thought that season was wonderful. I thought the pacing was kind of off, but I didn't realize. I was like, oh, maybe the season felt a bit long. That's basically what I was thinking. Now
That's an understatement.
on this most recent watch, I started episode 1. I wanted to bash my head on my table, on my
In game,
computer,
in
on
game,
my TV.
in game.
What do you mean in game? What do you mean?
You have to say that at the end of like to not get banned. Like I
Oh,
wanted to hang. I wanted to hang myself in game.
oh, I see. Okay, I feel you.
Yeah. You have to say that to get away with it with the YouTube fucks.
I wanted to bash my head on everything. I I was depressed. I was like, what is this shit? Episode 1 was horrendous. Like, really? That's hands down one of the worst episode of TV. That's like Iron Fist bad. So my issues with the first episode, because I ran so much about it, the pacing was horrendous. The bullies are one-dimensional stupid F. telling instead of showing, and this is a trend that keeps going on and on and on for the entire show, and even in season 2 it carries on. um like a flashback covering the military day, but I guess they wanted to hold on that and show it later in the show. Instead, we need to see like 10 scenes of him smashing a wall with his hammer. um Dialogue was kind of bad, pacing again, so I got bored. I wanted to like finish that uh, like viewing. Plot convenience, the guy getting injured as things were getting spicy. um I can't remember what I referred to there. I can't. Next up would be plot convenience, the wallet just happening to fall off when they do the robbery, so the villain know who did the robbery. Okay, whatever. Plot convenience going on the construction site where the guy, with the guy when Frank is there. Like, Frank just happens to be there when they decide to go there. It's like, bro, when is Frank sleeping? Lightning was bad. Plot armor on Punisher. Not only he took bullets, but the guy couldn't aim. I wanted to end the game. Episode 1 was horrendous. But then I was reassured because episode 2 and 3 were actually really good. Episode 4 was amazing. Episode 5 was just good. And then episode 6 happened. That one was average, but it reflects very well my issues about the show. Then it goes back to episode 10, another very average episode. Episode 12 happened. This is sad. This episode would have been one of the best. When all these goddamn flashes they did only to extend the freaking length. I wanted to smash my screen. I have so much anger with this one. Episode 12 is basically the episode where he's tortured, and the character moments are amazing. That episode was so emotional. That episode was so good. But then we get like lots of flashes to tell us that when Frank is tortured, he thinks about something he likes, his ex-wife that died. Showing that once, okay. Showing that twice, I get it. You want the viewer to understand. Show that 3 times? Do you think your viewer is stupid? Showing that 4 times. Do you think your target audience is kids with ADHD that don't remember, like, they already have seen that 3 times before that? Showing that a 5th time? I don't know what they were thinking. That episode frustrates me so much. This is the episode where Micro is depicted as a really good sidekick. And we see that over that mission, Micro and Frank did trade a bond. They traded self-respect. This is a character study of their relationship within the show. And you ruin the shit out with freaking flashes. They also repeat a bunch of stuff we already know. This broke me. I wanted to pull the plug on that TV show at that moment. So, writer, it's okay to showcase something twice. I get it. I won't hold it against you. But 5 times is freaking overkill. Don't pretend to be smarter than what you are. Because this is exactly what you're doing right now. Sorry for that anger, man. I'm telling you, this episode, why not all of the shitty flashes, is the best one in the show. But these flashes, these scenes we don't need, killed that episode. And it buried it. Okay. 13. You know what? That one is another art breaking one. Because that one is also really bad. The Roadblock girl is a goddamn plot device hypocrite. She did shady shit and she blamed the detective for doing the same thing. I can only guess that's the Hollywood female behind that writing. Oh, we are hypocrite and we are proud to insert hypocrite in our characters. Yeah. Aiming wasn't consistent since Frank hit a small knife, but he didn't hit Billy. Why would the guy trust Billy despite what he said earlier? Frank trusting the guy who betrayed him. Facing plot armor on Frank. He bleeding by the tight can end your life because tights have important blood streams. Oh yeah, one of the two, I cannot remember who got that, but one of the two character had the bleeding by like not necessarily the neck or the throat, like the place in between the throat and the neck. Uh, it's science. You get a bleeding there, stop this shit fast and go get medical attention as quick as you can because you can die within minutes. But hey, this show doesn't give a shit about anatomy and blood streams. Plot armor on Billy. He should have at least passed out because of the injuries he got when he got smashed many times on the mirror. But no, at least he's in the coma, right? But it's still stupid how long he lasted after getting hit so many times. So, okay. The entire season, plot device characters were bad. The pacing was horrendous. Some of the dialogue felt off. People can't aim. Plot armor is kind of crazy. Um, so I will say this: I enjoyed when the show was good, and I wanted to end myself when it was bad. It's sad. It's freaking sad. I think the overall first season is so good, but the lows are so low they almost hit rock bottom. And when there are lows, they really reflect how bad the show can be and how Netflix is bleeding these issues throughout pretty much any production they have. The only exception will be Daredevil, but I can bet when we get to cover Daredevil, I will see the same sins. And Daredevil, I used to really praise and like this show. So, I don't have much more to say about Punisher, and I think you covered in length this season. What would be your score out of 10 for season 1 of Punisher?
Uh, I'll give it like it's a between like a 5.75 to 6. I'll just give it a 6.
For me, that's the 8. 8 out of 10. But a low 8 out of 10.
Yeah, for
And
me it's a
it's
very low 6. It's one of the lowest 6s ever.
The main reason why it's 8, despite my issues, is as I said, the eyes are very eye. And I think it had really interesting stuff. The fight choreography was entertaining. Wasn't perfect. No, it wasn't perfect, but it was good enough for me. I liked it. And the characterization and the growth of the characters in the cast was very interesting. I liked it. I think most of the actors did their best with the material they were given. Micro is the OG, the best one. Long live Micro. I hope he's back in season 2, but I don't think he will be. Anyway, 8 out of 10 for me. Next up, Peacemaker.
Right. So yeah, watch this. When it was released in each episode, a year or so ago, I guess, whenever it released. Did watch parties on MSK's channel for it, and unfortunately, those are all gone now because
He got
you
banned
know, yeah, and I can't understand why. It was clearly so PG
for
and
everyone, man. It was the
yeah,
most
he
open
behaved
minded
and went,
being on
yeah,
earth.
he behaved and went by the rules of YouTube. So surprising. But anyway, it was a lot of fun though when we did those watch parties. There were like 10 people on them. We did it for that and Star Wars, the old 9 of the films, and they were great. And Mike and everybody was on there and saying their thoughts, which was great because they're like in their 50s or whatnot. So they saw that shit around when it was like when they came out in theaters. So it was nice getting their perspectives and stuff. So it's unfortunate they're gone now, but yeah, it was awesome when we did those watch parties, though. Especially, God, the funny moments. Like, I can remember everybody they had their cams on, and literally everybody couldn't stop laughing. They laughed for a full minute straight during that finale when she like fucking zoomed into the fucking wall and bashed her head. Oh, that was fucking hilarious. But anyway, this is a great, great show in my opinion. There are definitely flaws with it though, and the main thing is that I do think it's a very funny show for the most part, and that most of the humor works, and that there's a lot of hilarious moments. But then there's humor that is so bad, and the reason why is because they drag it out for like fucking 5 minutes. It's like they'll make a joke that's not really funny, but and then they'll drag it out for like 5 minutes to try to make it funny. It's like shoot me now, God. It's like you'll just have a character talking, and then they'll it's like won't fucking stop talking. Be like 8 minutes till we get to the next fucking scene, but so that's the first issue is does have good comedy and for the most part, but there's bad comedy as well, and those bad moments, oh boy. And then the second thing is that, as always, you know who is not a good actor, but I will say, I will say, with the cast around him, around that piece of shit, and putting him in like the safe role they did, they elevated him to being competent and not dragging down the show and doing his job. Definitely nothing to do with the actor himself, and fuck that piece of shit. I'm not even going to say his fucking name because he doesn't exist. Fuck you.
Who is
But
that? Tell me, I don't get it. Who's that? Tell my
sorry,
name.
you just you can't see him. All right, that's all.
He doesn't exist. He doesn't
Yeah,
have
because you can't
muscle.
see him.
He's not a
Oh
wrestler.
boy, garbage at everything. And good lord, I could tell you so many stories about him as a wrestler. There's literally this guy JTG. this wrestler part of the tag team. I don't know if you ever watched wrestling before.
No.
No, but he was coming. He did this magazine interview, and he accidentally used the words to describe his tag team partner, loyalty and respect. And then he asked the magazine guy not to put that in there, but he did. And then he was using the washroom one time, and then John Cena came knocking on his fucking door. Like, hey, I read that new magazine article there. Very interesting choice of words. You know, that's sort of my thing. Hustle, loyalty, and respect, you know? And then, yeah, he explained it to him. Like, it slipped out, and he didn't mean to, like, you know, try to, like, copy your thing. He's like, yeah, maybe, you know, those magazine guys can be a little fickle, right? But you know, there's going to need to be consequences to this, right? Because, you know, using the words loyalty and respect, that's obviously illegal, you know? I obviously trademarked that, right? Because I'm a fucking egotistical fucking piece of shit. So, hey, you know those shades that you wear to the rain that you were going to have as merchandise in the store and as a tribute to Bret Hart? Yeah, those are going to go on hold for a little while. And they never released. Motherfucker did that over him using loyalty and respect in a fucking magazine thing. And that's the least bad thing he's done. That guy's fucking harassed and done many wrestlers for no reason and done tons of illegal shit. Anyway, that's besides the fucking point. That's besides the fucking point. Either way, he at least fits the role as the character, even if he's not a good actor, and they at least elevated him with everything around him, so it's whatever. The other main thing is just, yeah, there's moments of rehashing that's a little bad, but yeah, and I didn't like that, but whatever. The rest of the show, though, I actually like this a lot, the rest of the show, outside of those issues, those, like, 3 or so, big issues I have. I like the rest of it a lot. And like first and foremost, just everything on a filmmaking, writing, technical, visual, acting, character standpoint, and all that stuff is very well done. It's probably better done than any other like DC show for sure so far, but also almost any comic book show out there right now besides the big ones like Doom Patrol and The Boys and Invincible. It's just super well made and super well directed and everything. And the characters and their arcs are actually really well done as well. And yeah, and you know what I also really enjoy is how they fucking, you know, they gave us a character who's gay, but they didn't actually make her storyline or her character being that she's gay. It's just like, yeah, it's a gay character. Moving on. It's like they didn't try to just make that her fucking character, as every other show or movie does, because they're fucking lazy. So I like that about it as well. And the storylines and the action scenes is just really well done as well. And I also, especially that fucking Gorilla Grok episode. Oh, that was hilarious. The fuck with the chainsaw.
I'd like to add something
really,
to that woman that is into other women. In my novel, I have a woman into other women, and guess what? She has actual characterization. She has an actual very important place, and she matters. It's more than just a token. It's a well-written character. And in this show, yes, she has some kind of character arc, but it's not fleshed out very well. It's just like, oh, I believe in my mother than in you. Oh, I realize my mother is a cow. I don't like my mother anymore and I will backstab her. That's
Uh,
basically
to
that
me, I
character's
disagree.
storyline.
I think it was a well done character, actually, in my opinion. But that's just me. It's like it's yes, it's a basic one. It's more so just like yeah, a character who's like dealing with like two sides of things and who to like trust or go with, but and with one of them being family. But I think the way they portrayed it though in the actual show is really well done. So I don't know. I liked it, and I pretty much like every character in this for the most part. And again, the action scenes and everything are really well done. And yeah, outside of those annoying fucking comedy bits, the rest of the comedy I thought was hilarious. And also the oh yeah, especially that one fucking scene. You know which one I'm talking about in the prison? Oh, I couldn't stop fucking laughing. You know which one I'm talking about? When he goes up
When
to
he
like to the table.
he eat the garbage bin just to end up in jail. When he's in jail, he tries to get a fight with the dragon.
Yeah, that shit was so hilarious. Oh my god. Yeah, that's the other thing. The character of Vigilante. Yeah, in the beginning, people weren't a fan of him just because. Now, I was, but most people watching the show weren't a fan of him. Literally in episode one, because not because of anything the character or actor did yet, but because they saw that character. We've seen that character and that comedic effect character so many times in shows like this and in movies like this, and like 98% of the time they're fucking awful and unbearable. So everybody just assumed that he would be in like some Deadpool ripoff, but I honestly thought he was like one of the best parts of the show and fucking hilarious. Really liked his character.
I agree with you, and he represents very well the old peacemaker and the way he was. He was just a psycho that liked ending people's lives, and his reason and the cover he decided to choose was peace, and he was like, I only do that to bad people, but that was still psycho. You don't need to end everyone's life to do what you're doing. And vigilante is like, oh yeah, I enjoy ending people's lives, and you're like, man, that guy, there's no way he is a true character in real life, but it works because this is over the top, and this is how extremists can be perceived and viewed. And sometimes extremists are like that; they're really stupid. And I think vigilante was just amazing. Huge fan of vigilante as well. So yeah, move on, man. I just agree 100% with you. Vigilante,
Yeah, I mean
best part.
that's pretty much it. Like again, I loved pretty much each episode. There's only one episode that was a little because there wasn't too much that happened in it and a little slow pace, but everything else, I liked everything that went on in them. They all had different things in each episode. They all were just so super well done, super well filmed visually, and good cinematography, good visual effects, and with that eagle character, and good acting, good costume design, good writing for the most part. Like again, like yeah, and this is what I said. It's like this is what I said. The people who didn't like the Suicide Squad that much, James Gunn's. It's like okay, even if like the comedy and such didn't work for you, and even if like you didn't like certain things they did with like the comic book characters, like you thought like for example like having Starro be fucking defeated by rats, it was stupid. At the end of the day, look at again you're watching a film. Look at what they did in each area and aspect of that, and when it comes to the Suicide Squad and also Peacemaker, it does things that like just like Guardians of the Galaxy, which is why like Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 3, not 2, but those the other ones. Like it does things and it does like intellectual filmmaking and writing stuff, and very smartly that and uses it so well as a visual medium to show instead of tell that like so many like the majority almost all other comic book movie directors fail at doing or don't even bother with, and this is more of what we need to see from the genre. And that's what I'll say to people who like weren't a fan of the comedy or certain character things like that. It's like, okay, but at the end of the day, when you look at it on all those fronts, I really can't see why you would call this either of these or really like anything James Gunn has done so far besides the second Guardians film bad, because of everything else on those fronts. It's like it by far like defeats a majority of comic book movie stuff out there right now on all those fronts. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me. But yeah, I really fucking enjoyed this, and they're gonna have a season 2 sometime. They said it's gonna be after that Amanda Waller show, so we'll see how it goes. But also the I believe that show is also being written by the people who did Doom Patrol, which is another excellent show. And then they said after that we should get Peacemaker season 2, and then either before or after around that time we should get the Lanterns TV show, which is being written by the people who did I think at least being written by the people who did like True Detective or something. I can't remember if they said that or if they just said it would be inspired by that. I forgot, but either way, yeah, I'm excited for all that. So what did you think?
You know, the backstory of Peacemaker. I was hyped and excited about it. I wanted to see it when it first came out because a lot of people were talking about it, and I didn't see the Suicide Squad movie, but Peacemaker sounded like a fun character, and I was like, maybe if I like the show, I will watch the movie. I just ended up not having time for the movie, but eventually we will cover the movie for the podcast for sure in the future. But we gotta cover some Marvel stuff before. Anyway, my experience. That was one of the few things I did review last year when it was coming out. I reviewed, I believe, the first 3 episodes or so, and then I stopped because nobody was really watching the reviews, and I'm not doing that for views or stuff, but it's a bit demoralizing, you know. You're like you're putting up work, and nobody sees it. You're like, okay, and I was like, I will just enjoy the show like other people. So this is my experience with the show. I just after 3 episodes, I just decided just to watch the show, just to enjoy it, and I liked it. I liked the show a lot. And this time around, I watched it for the podcast here, and I enjoyed it again. That's a very enjoyable show, and I will surprise you with the grade once we get there. But I liked it. Is it perfect? No. I have four kind of big issues throughout the entire season. Some of the story is very contrived, lots of plot convenience almost every week. Um, some of the humor doesn't land. I truly hate this shit. Um, some of the pacing is a bit off. It's nowhere near as bad as Punisher, but I feel like every episode could have been like 40 minutes, not 46. And a lot of episodes were 46, but they didn't feel the need to be that long. So I really feel like the runtime of the show could have been trimmed down, but they really want to milk out as much content as they can, making everything longer, just like freaking Netflix. Um, some of the dialogue was really bad sometimes, and it felt like the writer in the room were like, "Oh yeah, let's insert our ideas, and let's not make our character talk like character. No, they need to talk with us, with our message. They need to give our message to the audience." This didn't happen that often. This happened maybe like 3, 4 times throughout the show, but for me, 3, 4 times is enough to get me pissed. So I like the action, good action. The story was very creative, interesting, and fun. And Vigilante, I said it, big fan. I liked a lot Vigilante. Arcor is also amazing. She got so much character growth. Big fan. Uh, the girl I don't like, um, she got a character arc, I guess. It's not perfect. I said it. I don't think she's that amazing of a character. She filled her role and she was there. I hope she doesn't come back in Waller or season two. Um, I have more than enough.
She will, but
Oh,
they'll
she
do
will come
something.
back.
Well, they'll all
Oh
probably
my.
come back. Yes, they're all part of the team. So yeah,
Oh
they'll do
my.
something They'll do something different with them. But I still don't understand what your complaints are. I mean, like
I
again, it wasn't the most like technical like storylines or whatnot with her. It's like it was basic, but again, the execution of them I thought were well done. Besides besides maybe like okay, I'll say the first half of the last episode was just dumb, but outside of that,
I just think they wanted to make her so important, but she didn't. She felt like out of place because I feel like
well, you have to
her.
remember, she again a lot of pressure considering who her mother is, so that's probably something that weighs down on her and that she deals with throughout the show.
And I will also say that what was the point of the girlfriend? Like, I don't give a shit about their love life. That's the other thing. I feel like the girlfriend was just there because love interests are important for us. And a lot of shows do that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
But
again, I'm not gonna disagree that now that part of it, yeah, wasn't like needed. It's like they didn't really do much of anything with it, but I think it was just there to like because again, the character is pretty much like goes through like 8 different things throughout the show. It's like she has like different conflicts or like tough decisions to make and is like 50-50 to what to do on like every character throughout the show. Like those 2 people are part of the team. The one guy who was then secretly the I forgot what they called the name of those things again, but
butterfly.
yes, and then the peacemaker himself, and then also the mother character. And so I think it was just another also add another thing to it, with like with the issues and not like contacting and shit and all that stuff and the moving. So I think it was just to add like another thing like that to really make it feel overwhelming and stuff to like the audience member watching it. Uh, but yeah, I mean, again, they didn't really do too much with it. It wasn't needed, but I think that was their goal, and I mean, I was fine with it because it didn't like drag it down or anything, and it wasn't like bad. So I'm fine. So I was fine with it. But I mean, again, it's true. It wasn't again needed, but again, it was fine though, and it at least fit into it. But the other thing again that I said is the good thing about it, at least they didn't make that her fucking character like so many garbage fucking shows.
Yeah,
Like,
I
hey,
agree
hey,
with
we,
that.
we have a male character and he likes to fuck other males. Good for you. Anything else to your character though? No. It's like, oh, okay, thanks, bye.
You made a good point. But maybe my other thing with that character, it's just like she feel like an insert from the writer. That may be the other issue I may have underneath everything. And
I mean, James Gunn and them were writing it, so I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't really say that, but
but he's not the only one. I mean, he has a team. Yes, he's the leader, the big
yeah, but
guy
he
that
was the one. He was the one mainly directing it and writing it and producing it though, so it's his say. But I mean, again, I
like
wouldn't say it. They
he has a
just
team.
it might
Like
it might have just not been perfect, but I mean it. I mean, I wouldn't say that. I just say if there was anything that didn't really work, then it just didn't work. I would say, but also the other thing is that this is similar stuff that Gunn does with characters in all of his stuff, such as Guardians of the Galaxy. So that's the other thing. If anything just didn't work, then I'd say it's just because it didn't work. Not for you, not because of those reasons, but that's just me personally. God, there's something else I was gonna bring up, but God damn it, I think I forgot there was something else I was gonna bring up. The
Everyone in the show outshiner like solid. Like I care much more about everyone else. Maybe except for the big guy with the glasses. He was just there for comic relief and for acting stuff. Uh, he's
Yeah, I
actually
mean,
the worst character. He is terrible. I don't like that
well,
character.
I think the actor did a fine, more than fine job, and
Yeah, yeah.
I think the character had good moments and funny moments, but yeah, I mean, he was like the least memorable character, like or the least important, but that's sort of the point and the point of his character. But also, if you saw the Suicide Squad before this, and then maybe you would care more because he had a lot of scenes. Well, not a lot. I mean, not like lot as in literally, but a chunk of scenes in the film for his character and in the beginning and near the end and such that and also the teaser at the end where you get to know him a little bit and it makes you I guess going into the show care about him and the other people part of the crew a little bit I guess but
I will
so
say
yeah.
this. Arcor, I liked her a lot. I think she is like my second favorite character. My favorite one is Vigilante, but Arcor is probably my
Yeah,
second
very good
one.
character. And again, I forget the names sometimes. You're talking about yeah, like the main, the blonde female character, right?
Yeah, Arcor. Yeah, that's Arcor.
Yeah, yeah. Also, do you remember who that is? Right, the actress.
She looked familiar, but I
Yeah,
can't
because
point out the
well,
finger to.
she's been in other stuff, but she's probably familiar because again, people talked about her a lot before. Because yeah, she's actually engaged to
To James
somebody. Do you
Gunn.
want? Yeah.
I've seen it. Yeah, um, he
Hmm.
has good taste. That's all I gotta
Yeah.
say. He has good
I mean,
taste.
I gotta say, what was one of like the first write-in things you think? What was one of them? The bar scene in the beginning. Because for me,
I
I thought that was good. I didn't have an issue with it. Like that is like realistic. And I thought it was like well done with the execution and the performance and line delivery and such. So I mean, I didn't really have an issue with it.
so I'm kind of torn apart a bit. Um, the first time around, last year when I reviewed it, I was heavily influenced by the anti-role crowd, and I truly hated that moment, just like them, because I used to be spoon-fed their brain rot content. I used to
Yeah,
have an
and
issue
the
because of them.
the good version. Sorry, I mean not the good version. The bad version of those attempts at it is She-Hulk.
Yeah,
And again, what they attempted in She-Hulk wasn't like man hating or sexist like on the surface, like putting out like
yeah,
written on paper. It's the execution that was, and that was just garbage with She-Hulk. And yeah, that's like the bad version of something like this, the actual like man hating version. But yeah.
yeah. But this time around, on this most recent watch, with a purified mind, with other content to like wash away these bad thoughts, I didn't mind it. Um, was the episode perfect? Not by any means. I had other issues at other places, but that scene, I was fine with it. That was just a setup for the character, and on top of that, that was the seeds of what she needs to improve on. She needs to get more personal. She needs to get attachment with others. That's part of her character arc. So looking back, if you ate that scene, you misunderstood the character or the scene purpose. One of the two, or maybe both. So I'm all in with that scene. I think that scene was fine. And the bullies, okay, they are one note, they're one dimensional, but the point of the scene was not necessarily the bullying, but more like the reaction and what sparked that reaction. What made Arcor like being, I won't take crap today, I will beat you down. It's more like that. Um, it was more about Arcor than the bullies. And usually when I'm pissed at bullies, it's because it's about the bullies, you know? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Or I need to develop a bit more. I guess. Um, Cole, are you there? Testing one, two. You are muted. If you speak, don't tell me Cole crashed. No, Cole. Okay, so I'll try to entertain the only viewer right now. Um, so let me know when you're back, Cole, and I will move on with Peacemaker. Let me know when you're back, Cole. Okay, so this episode of Peacemaker was good. The first one was really good. The entire show was actually very good. I already mentioned my issues, and yeah, I think the action was really good and
Sorry, I
entertaining.
just was checking on someone quickly. What were you saying?
I was basically saying that the bullies, I have issues a lot of time with them, but here it was more about Arcor than the bullies themselves, so I gave it a pass there. Um, so yeah, now I don't have much more to say. I just thought that was a solid show when the humor landed. The humor landed. Very creative show, lots of action, and it was entertaining. No regret whatsoever. What do you think is my top three episode and my worst three episodes?
Yeah, well, first I'll say, okay, my top three would probably be episode 3, episode 5, and episode 7. That or episode 8, I guess, but anyway, and then my worst 3 is episode 2, episode 4, and then episode 6, but all of them, there's, I shouldn't say worse so, because all of them, in my opinion, are good. There's just some episodes that are better, but there isn't really like a single bad episode in the show for me. If I had to think of one, though, then definitely the second is by far the weakest, but basically like the first two in general are the weakest, but they're still good, I guess. But I'm gonna guess that though for you. I'm gonna guess episode 1 and episode 2, and then episode 4 are probably your weakest in my opinion, which is if I had to guess. And then I'm gonna guess that your favorite ones are episode 7, episode uh, 8, and then episode 3. But I really have no
This
clue because for me this is very even, all the episodes. But I'm just
this
going off of what
is
I think episodes might have annoying humor or not for you.
this is very funny. Um, yeah, so my favorite episode is one of yours. My favorite episode is 3. I like the shit out of that one. That was the only 10 out of 10 for me. in the show. Coming in second place would be episode 8 with a 9.7 out of 10. And I think my only issue was with the eagle. I thought they overdid that joke and it wasn't funny anymore when they did it like 5 times.
I
Um,
mean, uh, I mean the eagle thing. They did a lot of humor with the eagle throughout the show, but there wasn't like anything specifically like that yet. Though, like they never really had the eagle like try to get him to do anything like on a mission or like that or something. So because of that, in my opinion, it was like kind of new and it was unexpected and kind of hilarious. And I would say it was just like they like some other jokes they how do I say they spent too much time on it or whatever, where then it wasn't funny or anymore or it was just a waste of time. But then they did stuff during it that like they had a reason to do, so then they could do sorry so then they would have a reason to do other things that then was actually important to the characters and set some stuff up for season 2. So because of that, I then it changed for me. Sorry, go.
my third favorite would be episode 4 with a 9.5 out of 10, with only
Yeah.
dialogue being an issue and plot convenience. Vigilante just end up in the same jail as someone wanted for murder and kidnapping, I guess, because he
Sorry, it was
seemingly.
that episode I completely
Yeah, that was 4.
sorry, again, I got the episodes mixed up. Okay, actually, you know what, never mind. I'm actually changing my favorite episodes to 3, 4, and 8, basically, because I said 7 instead of 4 because I thought 4 was a different one that was just kind of had a lot of issues that weren't good, but and it does have some, but never mind. Okay.
My worst 3, I think I will shock you a bit with my worst. My worst is 7 with a 4.5 out of 10. It was really, really bad. It was the only episode I consider bad in this season. So, the first thing, the dialogue felt off. The fat girl was annoying in our court arguments. I forgot that mention. So, they had an argument, I guess, and I truly disliked the girl.
Hey,
Um,
see, I knew this would be an episode you would either like a lot or hate. Like
the
I
next up,
agreed this had off moments, but I thought that there were some character stuff to it that would be a reason for you to like it. So I just guessed that it was like your top 3.
the next issue would be plot convenience. The guy leaving his keys in the car. Next up would be not funny. Next up would be plot convenience. The green guy just happening to find Harcourt and the others. Next up would be the dialogue again. I wanted to bash my head on the screen, I remember. Um, Plot armor on Peacemaker. Vigilante being dumb. So he was played for comic relief most of the time, but that's the only episode where I was like so fed up with everything that even Vigilante got on my nerves. And he was my favorite character for most of the show, so that's to tell you how I hated that episode. Like, even when my favorite character is just getting under my skin, that's telling. um so yeah, that was my worst. The second worst would be I'm looking into my notes. Second worst would be episode 6 with a 7.5. The pacing was bad. It wasn't funny. It wasn't funny. It wasn't funny. The dialogue was bad. The pacing was bad. And finally, my third worst with a 8 out of 10, episode 5. Um, my issues were not funny. The speech was way too long. That's probably one of the very long monologue where John Cena tried to be funny, but it wasn't. Dialogue. Plot armor on everyone against the gorilla. Dialogue was bad. How convenient she walked around with the helmet to find out that Mern
Well, I
is.
wouldn't say plot armor because that wasn't actually the original Gorilla Grodd. It's like a sort of discount version they confirmed, so it's a lot weaker. And it's not really a plot convenience in my opinion because I mean, if you sneak up behind him, if you have that chance, and you can take care of him.
Well, plot armor was more like they were sent flying everywhere and nobody had broken bones. Um,
I
yeah.
wouldn't say that's much of one, especially since some of them were wearing armor.
But that's the kind of stuff I also criticize in Smallville when someone get pushed somewhere and they don't end up like losing consciousness or something. Um, so yeah, I think Peacemaker is a solid TV show, and if you don't like it, I get it. I have issues with it, but a lot of people and a lot of hate is not really justified because a lot of hate is made up by people that are proud American in the wrong way, and this show criticized the proud American that are proud the wrong way. You know what I mean? With the dragon and the guns and the eagle and all of the stereotypes you can have of a proud American, and don't feel offended by that show, man. Just grow up, evolve. You can be better than just a stereotypical proud American. Um, but that's how I see it. I think Peacemaker is a very enjoyable show. Was it perfect? No. No, it wasn't, but it's not as bad as what the anti-woke crowd likes to make you believe. For me, this show is a 8 out of 10, just like Punisher. But there's the thing. This one is well earned, and it's actually better than Punisher, even if it has the same grade. I think Peacemaker is better.
Sorry, what did you say?
8 out of 10 for Peacemaker. Um,
Yeah, for
just
me
like
that's an
Punisher.
that's an 8.5 for me.
And it's funny because I gave both shows the same grade, but I think Peacemaker is slightly better. And it's solely because of the pacing. It just had better pacing. Even if the pacing was still kind of bad, it was better. It's like a 6-ish hour TV show, and it could have been like, I don't know, 5 hour and a half, maybe 5 hour, and it could have worked. But that's nowhere near as bad as like a 10-hour show that could have lasted for 8. So yeah, Peacemaker, I enjoyed it. So next topic, even oh, actually, Total Recall. Did you want it to add more to Total Recall because you had time to see it again?
Yeah, so had time Wednesday to rewatch it. Sorry, and I'm glad I saw this. So let me just find my sort of notes here, I guess. Not that I wrote down any, I mean much, but just a few, I guess. But yeah, this really surprised me. I thought it wouldn't be as good rewatching it, but I thought this was an excellent film, and the director does a fantastic job at making sci-fi films that are good sci-fi films, but are also amazing like satires of other sci-fi films, such as RoboCop and Starship Troopers. But this is more so regular sci-fi than satire, but there is some satire in it, of course. But they do a fantastic job, though. The plot, the plot twists in this, especially the one with the one character, were really well done and shocking, and I really didn't see coming much. the script is very tightly written, and it makes sure not to have like almost any plot holes possible, such as like there's stuff that happens in the film that then you'd think will be a plot hole, but then in the next scene they do something else that makes it not a plot hole,
I
which is
agree.
very
That's
that
why
they
it
do
was
a
a
very smart
well-made
job
movie.
at. Yeah, such as like the exploding car thing with them being notified. Like again, they do this throughout the whole film. It's like it's very well done. They very tightly written script and smart characters, and this is also one of Arnold's better performances, in my opinion. Terminator and others are obviously more iconic and such, but he did not do as much actual like acting in them, and more so relied on the film and having memorable one-liners, which he also did in this as well. But this is one of them where he did a better job with raw, like great just acting and being like a very realistic character, and did not feel as robotic, in the role. And all the other characters and villains in this are very like likable and memorable, I would say. And just all the filmmaking, editing, technical aspects, and effects are great. And just like any other one of his films, there's fantastic gore and other effects in this that he always does a good job with for its time. And yeah, that's about it. And I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
What did you give it?
I actually forgot. Do you want me to bring back my notes? Can look into it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna guess maybe
Um,
like a
I think that was
9.5
8
maybe.
or 8.5, one of the two.
Oh, okay.
I remember it being I because I still liked it a lot, and like most of my issues are like people not aiming. I'm
I
right,
mean, a
8.5.
lot of them don't want to aim though because I mean, first things first. A lot of the people doing the shooting are like people that are barely trained that they hired in the agency, such as the people at the very beginning. And the second thing is they most of them didn't want to actually kill them, so that's why. Now there are some moments that you could maybe say that with, and like in the middle of the film, or maybe like the 30-minute mark or 40-minute mark, but it's not that big of a deal in my opinion, especially when you realize who those people are, or like before his memory was erased.
I
Makes it
think
more
there was
realistic.
a shootout in the bar, if I remember correctly, and that shootout had awful, horrendous aiming, and they wanted to kill pretty much everyone
I
inside.
mean, I wouldn't really say so because they started shooting people at random first before they had the upper hand or the chance to shoot back. But then they were able to shoot all those people afterwards because they were outnumbered and had people up top and everything that they weren't looking at. So, and then it also distracted them from other people at the bottom. So I think it was actually kind of realistic with how it like was executed.
Yeah, I can see it. Um, by the way, it's a bit off topic, but um, today I went on Darn Kitty stream and I talked with a lot of very interesting people, and it's possible we may have new guests eventually when
And
they
that's
add
cool.
me. So, anything else you'd like to add about Total Recall?
No, it's all.
Okay. Next topic. Nirvana, the band, the show, season 2.
You can go first if you want.
I will be fully honest with you. After watching season 1, I was like, if I take notes, I will probably say the same shit again. Because after watching one episode, I realized they didn't really improve much. So I decided to not take notes. I've still seen the entire thing, so I have still seen all 8 episodes. but no notes were taken because I feel like that's the way to watch this show. Like, if you take it seriously, like I usually do with media, you will be bothered, you will be annoyed. And it was much better than season one. I don't know if it's because my approach was better or if the season is straight up better. I still add a few issues here and there in some of the episode, and I feel like this time around there's more filler than season one. At least the filler this time around wasn't all about making another plan to get to the Rivoli.
I mean, that is the entire show, though.
Yeah, but yeah, in the end, I still tried to go to the Rivoli. Um,
Well, I think part of the reason you like this more is because you understand more of the references this time.
yeah, maybe that's one thing. Um, yeah, I understood a lot of the reference, and in most of the episode, um, episode 2 and 3 were amazing. Episode 4 was just okay. That was the book. I thought it was entertaining. I
Yeah.
can't remember episode 5.
Oh,
Do you?
hold on. One sec. Oh, sorry, one sec.
I hope you'll be better, man. That sounds atrocious to cough like that. Okay. I hope Cold is still alive. I really hope
Yeah,
that.
just one sec.
Drinking
My
water.
computer was just lagging out, so I was just trying to fix it real quick. But again, the first episode was the one with the hockey game. Then second, the
Oh
speed
yeah.
one. The third one, the again the Halloween thing. The fourth, which I liked a lot. I thought it was hilarious. The fourth one.
The third one is not the Halloween theme. The third
Oh,
one
sorry,
is
sorry. My bad. Right, it's right, the party one, and then the fourth one is the
yeah.
book, and then the fifth one is the one where it's 420. I thought that was
Oh
hilarious.
yeah. Okay, I remember not liking that one.
I thought that was
You said
hilarious. And then
420.
6, 7, 8 are all about band, and
The
they
the
do different things.
second the second you mentioned 420, I remember that one. That was his
Yes,
birthday, and they did lots of stupid shit.
yes. And then episode 6, a lot of people liked it. For me, I enjoyed it, but that's one of my more weaker ones. The one with like the hacker. But then
Oh yeah.
yeah, but then episode
That one was
7
good.
is one of my favorites. I love that one. That was hilarious, and especially the Indiana Jones references and the other ones, other references. Yeah, and then
So
episode 8, they're pretty funny as well, and they
I
left off with a
hated
good
8.
cliffhanger.
I hated the shit out of 8. I wanted to self delete.
Well, I think the main reason why is because you didn't understand like any of the references. Because in that one, it parodied a lot of shows such as Lost with like the amount of flashback scenes and everything that were pointless. So that's what it was kind of doing, and then left with that cliffhanger. But yeah. But again, most of the people in this show are real people who aren't in on it. Like episode 7, those were real people chasing after them, because that was a fake setup they had in the museum that they pre-planned with the map and the fake glass stain. But the people there thought that they actually broke something, and there were actual police people kind of chasing them, and the cameramen trying their hardest to keep up to record it, and it was hilarious, and I loved it. Like
Oh
again, and
man.
they do this shit all the time in every episode of this show, and this is why I love it. That and just all the references, because as somebody who's like seen hundreds, well, not hundreds, thousands and thousands of films and everything, I understand all the references and stuff, so I love it a lot. Like, just to give you an idea, let me pull up this. This is basically every single right. Can you see this at all, or
Oh yeah.
right? This is every single fucking reference, pretty much in
Wait, there was
the
a
show.
reference to Back to the Future, and I have
Yeah,
seen that, but I
there's
don't get
yes,
it.
all the references and jokes and episodes they made. They all do stuff off of all these things. These are all the things that they've parodied and stuff.
Wow. That's funny because
As
I've
a
seen lots of
yeah.
things there, but I still didn't get the
hmm
reference.
Yeah, and again, that's why you have to really be like a film and show person, I guess. But anyway, so that's just something interesting. But yeah, for me, because of that, I enjoyed it. But uh, I can understand you not so much. But I'm at least glad that you enjoyed more episodes this time and more of the show this time. And
Yeah,
also, yeah, episode 2. I actually know who our white goose is, so I found that to be pretty funny.
that one was priceless. I'm telling you.
Mhm.
I think episode 2 is one of my favorite thing on TV. I can't remember if I had issues. Maybe I had one issue somewhere, but entertainment value, that was peak TV, man.
Yeah, maybe one of your issues was like being that easy to get, something like that off the street. But at the same time, if you live in like Vancouver or Toronto, it actually kind of is that easy.
That was a good one. I liked it.
Yeah, yeah. Let me just. So I mean, that's kind of. Do you have anything else you wanted to say about it, or?
Not really. I think we can move on to the grade, except if you'd like to add more to season 2 of Nirvanna, the
Yeah,
band,
there
the
was.
show.
Right, there was one other thing I wanted to. It's not something I wanted to say. It's more so something I wanted to quickly talk about and mention real quick. About it. Well, sorry, not talk about, but just show. So basically, this is just basically like an update, basically on where everything's at right now, because there's been a lot going on with it, and people are kind of confused of like what's going on, what's happening, and this basically explained it all. Basically, so I'm just gonna play it. It's a minute and 50. Sorry, a minute and 50 seconds long. God damn, my throat is fucking killing me. Holy fuck. Sorry. A minute and 50 seconds long. And this is from the director. This was during a Q&A for his film Blackberry.
Oh,
So
really?
yes, and this is what he basically said, and it's also kind of funny and like with what happened. So let's watch it.
Wow, he got old, man. I feel like he just gained like 20 years in like 5 years.
Is there any updates on Nirvana, the band, the show season 2?
Yes. A question that I've been asked more or less constantly every week of my life for the last 5 years. I made a TV show in Toronto that was canceled because the network that was airing it, they were embezzling money from the government. And as soon as our national broadcaster realized that, Rogers, they cut off the funding, and so then my show was stopped midway through. And we had shot a third season of it, but we couldn't air it. And the reason I made this movie was because I needed something to do, because I wasn't making my TV show anymore. And so one of the hopes of me making this film was that I would be able to do something slightly more commercial that would then give me the opportunity to release the third season of the show. So I'm hoping this film does well enough that I can release the finished third season of the show. And I think we're probably gonna make a movie of it this summer too. We may, yes. You guys will like it. We should shoot some of it here actually. I've been to some interesting cities, and I thought like, oh, we should do like real globe-trotting Nirvana movie. But don't worry, I haven't forgotten about it. It's going to get released eventually. The great thing about the fans of the show is that they're so young that you can wait. None of you are going to die anytime soon, so it will be released in your lifetime for sure. And I'm hoping sooner rather than.
I hope we get that movie out.
Yeah. But yeah, that's
I want
pretty
to
much the
see it.
update on it, which was pretty funny. Fucking the studios investing money from the government. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I want to see the movie now.
Yeah, and let's hope that third season comes out. But yeah, that's basically why he created BlackBerry, to try to get it, to try to get it released, I guess. But yeah. Anyway, so is there anything else you wanted to say, I guess?
Not really. Season 2 better than 1. I liked it much more. It's not perfect by any means. Even without taking any notes, I can tell. Some of the pacing fell off. Some of the humor didn't land for me again. Yeah. I think this season deserves a 7 out of 10. What about you, Cole?
Another 9.5. I love this.
It's still a great increase. I think I gave like season 1 a 5, so jumping from 5 to 7 is quite high.
Mm-hmm.
I guess now the last topic, and I think I will surprise you with that one. Event Horizon. I liked it.
I thought it was decent, but I enjoyed it. Now this show, this movie, I'll say it was directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, the guy who did stuff like the Mortal Kombat film, and I think other things we might have seen, but that's what he's mainly known for. And he made this film when he was still at a time when he was still actually a decent director, making decent films before he fucking fell off a cliff. Yeah, this film again also connected in the in that universe with Blade Runner in them, and Alien and Predator. However, yeah, this was really fucked over. Basically, they had a lot of ideas for it per se. Ideas that would have made it like so much better, and a lot of like gruesome ideas and for like intense scenes. However, they were all scrapped by the producers or whatnot or whatever. I can't remember what it was, but they were royally fucked over, and it's a shame. But there are actually people online who I believe they made like compilation videos of like the collected deleted scenes from it. And again, this won't get you copyrighted, but we're not going to watch the full thing anyway or full scenes. But this is just to show you some of the stuff like. And also, they weren't finished, sadly. So as you can see, there's like green screen stuff and poor quality. And there's like glares and stuff, like white dots everywhere, and like some fraticky moments in it, as you can see in scenes like this.
Wow.
But that's because that's the only available material that there is out there.
Just
Sadly.
by looking at it, I'm glad they cut it, because I can bet I would have hated these scenes.
Yeah, but also let's they talk about something right here. Let's watch this.
There was a terrific sequence that Andrew Kevin Walker wrote, who wrote Seven, and he came in at one point to do a polish on the screenplay, and he wrote this great sequence where the crew of the Lewis and Clark have just come through the airlock in the Event Horizon the first time. And they see everything floating in zero gravity. They see ice crystals. They see a wrench floating. They see a watch floating. And then Fishburne sees something, and he walks up to it. And it was framed, so he didn't quite know how big it was, because whatever it was in the foreground, and he was in the background. So he thought it was something quite big. But as he got closer and closer, he realized it was something quite small, till eventually he could get it in his fingers like that. And what you realized was, and Sam Neill was and Jolie were looking at it on the monitors, and Jason Isaacs were looking at it, trying to see what it was. And it was a tooth that had been ripped out by the root. So you had the tooth, you had the whole root of the tooth, and you had a bit of gum attached to it as well. So it's just like someone had ripped it out with a pair of pliers. And it was a truly disturbing image. But it took a long time to play that scene out. And it was one of the scenes that kind of bit the dust. And I was always very sorry about that. Because did it progress the plot at all? No, it didn't. And that's the reason why it came out as well, because the pressure was make the film shorter, get on with it. And it
Good
didn't.
job.
Which was the studio's reasoning.
Yeah,
for
but
taking
there's
it
one
out.
that's coming up.
For me, though, it was truly disturbing.
Just wait,
Click
there's
Kind of
one
pause.
thing.
I want to add
exploration of the
something.
event, and I think would have unsettled the audience.
Yeah.
Click pause. This movie was great the way it was. So I'm glad they didn't do it. Now, if they added that, would I think the same way of the movie? Maybe. I don't know. I haven't seen.
Yeah,
the
well, what
two-
I'm basically saying is that they were trying to make like basically like another like alien style film with like having very gruesome or horrific moments in it. But because of what the studios did, they then they wanted to just make it like a basic sort of more PG sci-fi film, is what I'm saying, which sucks a little bit, but
I
yeah,
think
but
this is why I liked it.
yeah, maybe. But I will say this isn't the scene I'm talking about. It's coming up right now. That he describes as one scene
Okay.
that I wish they kept in it because it sounds fucking insane.
Even more. Although in retrospect, the audience was so unsettled anyway. They were terrified when our heroes were exploring the event horizon. But I feel that scene was one that we lost. That I always wanted to put back in again. The other scene that was heavily trimmed was what happened to the original crew of the Event Horizon. There was a whole kind of big, violent, kind of bloody orgy scene that was shot, where essentially the crew were they were having sex, but they were also murdering each other while they were doing it. So they're kind of like fucking each other to death, and it was pretty bloody and unpleasant. And I was actually helped by another filmmaker friend of mine, who's another director, who came in to direct second.
That's messed up.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That
Someone
shit sounds
thinking about
crazy.
that's messed up.
I'm sorry. That sounds crazy, though, and I wish that was in there because that would have been crazy to see. And that's what I'm talking about. Is that, and maybe you prefer it, so that's cool. But I'm just saying they wanted to try to make like a spiritual successor to the other films in this universe, and those films were very gruesome and such. So they added that, and they did fantastic jobs with it and with the effects, but then the studio came in and changed it up or removed a lot of it.
And that bloody people making out, if you know what I mean, this reminds me of my favorite writer, which is Patrick Sénécal, and he's in French, and his novels are amazing. I really like his novel. Like, when you read his books, it's like you watch a movie. It's really well detailed and well written, and his movies are very gore, and they are dark, and it's horror-like. And these are like thriller. He's like the Quebecer that's like Stephen King. And in one of his books, there's a bloody people making out the way the guy describes it. Like, people are torturing themselves, and they are having bloody fun bedroom fun when they torture themselves, which was messed up to read. So when the guy mentioned that it was in the movie process, I was like, bruh, this guy would get along well with my favorite writer.
Yeah.
So yeah, Event Horizon. I like what you brought. This video was very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. What did you think of Event Horizon?
Again, it was pretty decent still, and I enjoyed it. Well, it isn't anything too special, and it could have been a lot better, but they didn't really know what they wanted, and then they cut a lot of stuff out and added some stuff in last minute. It was still very enjoyable, and then they did a lot right, and the characters were kind of intriguing, and also yeah, Mila Jovovich or whatever her fucking name is didn't suck in it, so that's a plus. Usually is in like every film with this director, but anyway, yeah. Also, I remember one other film that this director also did at the time. It was Soldier, if you remember that film.
Yes, I do, and I do remember liking it a lot.
Yeah, yeah. You said it was an underrated one. Yeah, you gave it like a 9.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe 8.59.
Yeah, and again, I like the set designs and everything, and it had some really cool effects still, and some of the writing was really good, and it did have some bad acting and bad writing though, and bad filmmaking at points. But I think the good outweighs the negative by a bit, and I say this film at worst is at least like competent. Now I don't know like where I'd really I would say like around this time they made a lot of sci-fi films around this time, and that were like connected to universes or sequels to it, sort of like the 2010, the year we made Contact or whatever the name of it is, and a lot of them at the time were kind of audiences kind of hated them, but over the years they really started to enjoy them. Some of them I agree with giving them more praise nowadays, and that they were kind of hated at the time. Others not so much. Like I do think 2010 was just kind of disgusting to make a sequel like that out of 2001 with what it did. But maybe we'll watch both of them. You can decide. Knowing you, you might like 2010 more though, just because even though 2001 is considered like one of the most important films of all time, and in my opinion, like a masterpiece that's very thought provoking. It's also like one of the slowest films ever made, and with the pacing and such, because it's a space opera and because it was doing a first for its time. Well, that stuff that 2001 did was a first for its time. So because of that, it might not be like fast paced or anything today, and because of it being an opera, but I still enjoyed it. But I know a lot of people, and yourself included, might not. So maybe in those respects, but either way, I enjoyed it a lot still in those regards, and I also liked the sorry, sorry, and I liked the fucking. I lost my fucking train of thought. Sorry, who was the one supporting character in this again? The one male character that was.
I don't know none of these characters. That's probably my biggest issue with the movie. I can't remember any actor or character.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to get to, but mainly with this one, there was this one. Like it was Jason Isaacs. I was kind of disappointed by his performance and his character, but again, I like Lawrence Fishburne a lot in this because I just loved Lawrence Fishburne as an actor, and I thought he did a great job with that. So that's a bonus.
I hope you will do fine, man. I, when I hear you coughing like that, I feel sorry, man. I hope you heal fast. That looks crazy. Man, you're amazing. Just you showing up like that, despite your state, that's just great.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Are you okay? I can hear you, but you whisper.
me?
Whoa,
What?
wait, my, uh, oh my, bro. Um, maybe drink water. Oh, okay, I see. So Cole has lost his voice. So I guess we will postpone. Um, Thank you a lot, Cole, for coming with us. So yeah, this will be the end. Thank you for watching this long. Do all of the YouTube stuff, and we will do more stream in the future. Have a good one and take care.